news. Please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The biggest data leak in Britain's history.
The lives of up to 100,000 Afghans put at risk in an unprecedented super injunction used by the government to stop all reporting.
At a cost of up to £7 billion and an additional 25,000 asylum seekers, is this the most expensive mistake in British history?
Serious data incident should never have happened. It may have occurred 3 years ago under the previous government, but to all those whose information was compromised, I offer a sincere apology today on behalf of the British government.
Lending rules relaxed and red tape attached. The Chancellor talks through, but will the markets play ball?
Regulators in other sectors must take up the call that I make this evening, not to bend to the temptation of excessive caution, but to boldly regulate for growth.
And just to say, inflation for June is set to be released at 7 o'clock this morning. We'll be bringing you that breaking news as we get it. Stay tuned.
Should migrants be able to claim universal credit? We're debating that after it was revealed that almost £1 billion is paid to non-British citizens every month.
MasterChef host no more. John Turturro sacked by the BBC as the former presenter releases his version of events.
A schoolgirl who made headlines after teachers forced her out of the classroom for wearing a Union Jack dress speaks out on GB News.
Me not being allowed to read my speech it's really upset me and it's embarrassed me as well because I've prepared it and I really wanted to share it to my school.
Good morning. The Open gets underway at Royal Portrush just 24 hours from now, with golfing legend Nick Faldo believing Rory McIlroy still has more to achieve if he's to be remembered as Europe's greatest of all time. And in football, could Liverpool be about to spend £120 million to smash the British transfer record?
It's a drier and warmer day for many, but not everywhere. That's because there is some rain pushing into parts of the southwest. I'll have the details coming up.
Very good to see you on this Wednesday morning. However you're watching, however you're listening, you're very welcome. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Nana Akwe, and this is GB News Breakfast.
So much to keep us busy, keep us talking today, hopefully keeping you involved. One of the things being John Turturro, the MasterChef host, sacked. He's not taking it well. He's saying sackings don't get any tougher than this because he feels that he was kept completely in the dark about all of this. So it said he made an apparent racist slur. I would love to know what he said or what he was supposed to say or how much offence it would cause. You know, you just like private, like say, he said what? Who cares? Or, wow, that's awful.
Well, you know, the thing is, though, it was many years ago. He may not remember it.
He doesn't remember it, and the person he made it to apparently doesn't take any offence from it.
Well, that's exactly. They said that, oh, he didn't mean it in any horrible way. He was just, you know, it was just joking sort of thing. So it's like, why? Maybe there's more to it than this. Maybe he's... Because often people who make these kind of comments tend to make those sort of comments off the fly.
The BBC will be thinking, saying, oh, we've got to see this through to the end. We can't be bothered with this.
Tim Davie chucking people under the bus going, you go up, not you go.
Well, there's a few I'd chuck under the bus. I was looking at... I was looking at what... They published their pay lists, and these pay lists...
Oh, my God, I know.
These pay lists are ridiculous, actually. You shouldn't really pay any notice to them because they're full of people who are only paid by the BBC. They're not paid if you present Have I Got News for You. Those two have been raking it in 40 grand a time or so for years.
That's because they work for a separate production company, is
yes.
that right?
Yeah, but still, the production company...
The BBC pay the production company the bill, the production company pay them, and it doesn't go on the records. So there's loads of people who you won't see what they're really paid. But then you go down the list, and we're all subjective. You'll all be saying it about me or whatever. But I look here and I think, I'm better than him, I'm better than her.
I think I'm better than her.
Yeah, absolutely right.
I'm better than most of them.
What are they? What are they being paid for doing what?
Zoe Ball, though, to be fair to Zoe Ball, her salary was a couple of $100,000 higher, and they offered her more, and she said no. And she actually took a...
How can she live on $515,000?
I know, it's terrible.
How can she do that?
Ow!
Yeah.
Who else is on there?
There's lots of names that I would point out here, and I'd go, oh my goodness, how, why? Oh, what?
Emma Barnett, 285k.
Never heard of her.
She used to do women's ad, didn't she, on BBC Radio 4, and now she does something else, or maybe she's doing that now. But
I thought you were going to say Emma from Barnet.
But that's like 1 hour.
Wouldn't get out of bed for that, I wouldn't.
Amen.
Very good morning to you. Very good to see you. Good to have you on board. Stay with us. Where not everything we do we take too seriously, but the lead story this morning is very serious indeed.
It is potentially one of the biggest scandals of recent history. The government has been running a secret evacuation and resettlement scheme for thousands of Afghans.
That's after up to 100,000 lives, including those who served alongside the military. The British military were put at risk by the Ministry of Defence. This was following a major data breach.
And this was, of course, in an attempt to keep the scandal hidden for years. The previous Conservative government used an unprecedented super injunction to stop it from being reported.
John Healey's the Defence Secretary. We'll be interviewing him live on the programme this morning. He apologised to those affected as it's revealed the total cost could exceed £7 billion.
Mr. Speaker, this serious data incident should never have happened. It may have occurred 3 years ago under the previous government, but to all those whose information was compromised, I offer a sincere apology today on behalf of the British government.
OK, how far does that apology go? What does it mean? Deputy Editor of Spiked Online, Fraser Myers, with us now. Fraser, this is appalling, very, very difficult for those involved. A number of things I want to get into. There originally were 100,000 people involved in this, and they were saying, come to the UK. The door's open for you. Now we believe that's been cut to about 25,000. The others will still be looked after, still paid for. The staff to still be compensated. Just give us what you know about this breach.
Well, the breach begins in February 2022 when a Royal Marine is basically trying to ascertain who should be eligible to come on the UK government's Afghan resettlement scheme. And he does this by using an unauthorised, basically getting in touch with some of his Afghan contacts, and instead of sending a list of, say, 15 names, 10 names, he ends up sending the whole spreadsheet, and he does this twice. Now, this doesn't become apparent until August 2023, and suddenly it starts appearing on Facebook. There's a concerned citizen who writes to his local MP who says, you know, I've seen this list, the people are in danger. There's also someone, an Afghan, who was essentially rejected for asylum and says, I'm going to disclose this information. And then suddenly the MOD sort of springs into action, not only to relocate many of the people on that list, because they're suddenly...
Excuse me, why haven't they relocated the civil servant involved?
Well, we don't know what's happened to the civil servant involved. I mean, if Whitehall's only to go by, maybe he's been promoted and given a knighthood. Who knows?
Do we know who he is?
That person has not been named, and I doubt they will be, because...
So who was he planning to send this list to?
So he was trying to send the list to various contacts he had in Afghanistan, thinking that they would know which of these people genuinely worked with the British Army, which of them didn't, who's just trying it on to get out of Afghanistan. I mean, you could understand why people would try any route to get out of Afghanistan at that period when the Taliban is returning to power. But obviously, it's the British government's job to only relocate people who have a genuine claim to live in the UK or who have helped us on our mission in Afghanistan.
So why have the reporting restrictions now been lifted?
Well, so this is the longest super injunction that has ever been imposed on any subject. It's the first time the government has ever taken out a super injunction, which is extraordinary. It's finally been judged that either the risk to those lives was not as great as it was feared. That might either be because the list didn't end up in the hands of the Taliban, or perhaps now that the Taliban has been in power for so many years, they have no intention to go after these people and kill them. That seems to have been the judgment from the inquiry that allowed John Healey to finally lift the injunction.
So what about the people who were on the list? Are they now, because I heard that people were trying to sue the government?
Yeah, around 1,000 people already are planning to sue the government because of the potential danger their lives are put in, but also their personal data being, you know, that in and of itself is a massive problem. So the cost of this could potentially go up even further. Who knows how much money the lawsuits will result in.
All right, well, we'll stay there, Fraser. Let's speak to our security expert, Stuart Crawford, and find out what his thoughts are on this, because, of course, this is a security breach, it's a data breach. So what are the implications for the government?
Good morning, Nana. Good morning, Eamonn. I mean, this is, not to put too fine a point on it, a national scandal and a disaster in so many sort of different planes. First of all, it's a PR disaster for the government and the Ministry of Defence. But more importantly, I think it's a moral and ethical disaster for all those involved in the cover-up. And it places deep suspicion amongst people like me and all my former colleagues in the military and indeed in the wider population about how reputation management within the government is more important than making sure that people don't come into danger for this data leak. And I think that there's a great danger that the Royal Marines officer who made the mistake, and it was a disastrous mistake, is scapegoated for this, whereas the real reason for this is systemic failures within the Ministry of Defence and the government's handling of data and a lack of control and balances and checks and balances over this sort of thing. And it's absolutely scandalous.
Yeah. Fraser, what do you make of what Stuart's saying there? Because this is a government which very much puts reputational management to the fore. I look at these people and I feel so sorry for them not being evacuated from Afghanistan in the first place. A lot of them assisting British interests during the time, and now the Taliban in power. Just can you emphasise how dangerous this is, or has the threat passed?
Well, we never know if the threat's going to pass. You know, these people have essentially, by appearing on this list, have essentially been identified as traitors, if you like, because they were helping the British, the enemy of the Taliban. So, of course, they're in extraordinary danger, and we have a duty to help them. And I think, you know, it's really important to emphasise what was just being said there. The cover-up is absolutely extraordinary. Yeah. The British government silencing the press, silencing MPs, silencing some people.
But you could argue that was in the safety interests of the people named.
I think certainly in the interests of the people named, but I think it gets to a point where for us to not even know that this resettlement scheme is going on, for people throughout the country where those migrants are being settled, they had no idea what's going on. I mean, it would have been good to know that actually some of the people arriving were helping British forces and had not just appeared randomly.
Stuart, how do we resolve this? Can this be fixed?
Well, I mean, the answer is I don't know, because there are so many unknowns in the whole episode. We don't know if the Taliban has got access to the list of Afghans who helped British forces during that particular conflict. I very much suspect that if they didn't before now, they certainly have got hold of it now. And we don't know how many people have been targeted by the Taliban because they're on that list. And so it's probably unfixable in the short to medium term. But I think it's the cover-up. It's like Watergate all over again. It's not what happened that, in fact, takes centre stage. It's the cover-up that is the most deeply troubling part of it, including the covert relocation of Afghans into the UK on flights which were not announced via RAF Prize Norton and Stansted. And as I said before, it is a national scandal. And who knows what else has still got to come out.
Who knows? Stuart, appreciate you putting us in the picture. Thank you. We've got to leave it there. Thank you. And Fraser, for the moment, thank you. Come back and see us after 7 o'clock. Thank you.
I don't know any other country, really, that will be that focused on on mistakes that they've made. And then, even though, because, you know, I'm probably speaking completely out of turn, but I just sometimes think that, you know, we often in this country try and do our best. Often it goes wrong. Sometimes we get it right. But in other countries, so say this happened in Ghana, where there was a data breach where a civil servant made a mistake, this wouldn't be national news. This wouldn't be all over the press. They'd be like, oh, well, we made a mistake, never mind, we'll just move on over there. And I'm wondering how many other countries would be so introspective and be ready to punish themselves over this.
Well, I'm more interested in the safety of these people, and they should have been evacuated at the time. The evacuation was such a mess. It happened so quickly and whatever. But, you know, they need to be looked after. I mean, imagine living under the Taliban and your name's in a public list. That's pretty scary.
But a lot of them, some of them are here, right? So they're kind
some
of
them are
safer.
here, but we're talking about 100,000 overall. That's a lot. Well, look, we'll see what you think and how you would resolve this situation. And here's some other stories that you're waking up to on this Wednesday morning.
Yes, former MasterChef presenter John Turode has spoken out after the BBC confirmed his contract will not be renewed. Taking to Instagram, Turode said that he would be watching the next series from afar and that he's loved every minute of his time on the programme. And all of this comes after the BBC Director General Tim Davie condemned the TV chef for allegedly using a racist term on set.
The two men behind the illegal felling of the world-famous Sycamore Gap tree have been sentenced. They are Daniel Graham and Adam Carruthers, and they were given 4 years and 3 months each in prison. Here's what the judge had to say.
To Daniel Graham, Mr. Adam Carruthers, I pass the same sentence in respect of you. The sentence is, on count 1, 4 years and 3 months imprisonment. On count 2, 6 months imprisonment, but to be served concurrently with the sentence on count 1.
Prince Harry is following in his mother's footsteps with a visit to Angola.
It's all as part of his work to highlight the danger of landmines. The Duke of Sussex is expected to tour the area where the late princess was seen walking through a minefield back in 1997.
Now, those two morons who were given 4 years and 3 months in prison, Daniel Graham and Adam Crothers, it's just unbelievable what they did to that tree, the Sycamore Gap tree. Why? What would give you a thrill to do that? Why would you, unless you were under the influence of something, why would you wake up and think, this is a good idea, let's cut this down? Something that just gives so much natural joy.
Well, it's a habitat, isn't it, for lots of animals as well. I remember when my mum, they cut down this awful, it's really sad, but somebody had come to our house and said, look, that tree is causing the fence to bend, and if you don't cut it, then it'll get underneath the concrete of your house, and My mum fell for it. I didn't believe it at all. They cut down this tree, and my mum said that the birds were all sitting on the fence, all having a go at her from the window. Because my mum said she saw them, she said, I felt so bad. The birds were looking at me going... and really having a go at her. This is the habitat for many, many animals, and these two were bragging about it on social media. Ridiculous. Oh,
absolutely ridiculous. They've both had hard paper rounds by the looks of them. They're in their 30s and they all... Both of them look 50-year-olds.
They're in their 30s? No.
Anyway, Alex Burkhill, let's see what the weather is like.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Now, for many, today is going to be drier than it was yesterday, but not everywhere. That's because there is a front across parts of the southwest. This is bringing more cloud here, even some outbreaks of rain, particularly across Devon and Cornwall, but some of that rain is likely to push into parts of Dorset, Somerset, maybe Wiltshire and the south of Wales as well. Elsewhere, and a few showers are quite likely across parts of southern Scotland, maybe northeastern England and down the eastern side. Otherwise, though, it's looking largely dry, decent amount of sunshine, and with that sunshine, temperatures rising. It's going to be a bit warmer than yesterday, highs of around 26, 27, possibly 28 Celsius. Then, as we go through into this evening, still a few showers dotted around across some central southern parts of Scotland, but a fine end to the day across many northern parts and towards Aberdeenshire as well in the east. Also largely fine across Northern Ireland, a decent amount of sunshine here, and for many parts of northern England, central eastern England and North Wales, just one or two showers perhaps. But still in the southwest it is going to be quite cloudy and there's more rain to come. None of it especially heavy for the time being, but as we go overnight, more wet weather feeds its way into western areas, so across parts of Wales and across Northern Ireland, and it's here where we're likely to see some relatively intense rain, could even start to turn a bit thundery. Similar to last night, it's not going to be especially chilly. Temperatures for many holding up in double figures, some places only falling to around 17 or 18 Celsius, so pretty warm indeed. And then as we go through tomorrow, quite wet across some western parts. Like I said, it's across Northern Ireland where we're going to have the heaviest, most intense rain, potential for some high rainfall totals and some thundery downpours. Some of that wet weather pushing into parts of Scotland and down the western side of England and Wales as well. Staying drier though towards the east, and temperatures, if anything, a little bit higher than today.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Oh, it's a good time of the morning, I think, to put you in a good mood by telling you you've got a chance to win our big prize. And how big is our big prize?
£54,321. See what we did? 54321. Here are the details that you need to make it all yours.
This is your chance to enjoy luxury this summer. It's our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. What would you do with that? With all of that cash, you could just chill out, treat yourself and indulge in the finer things in life, somewhere like here, Downhall Hotel and Spa. You really could win the cash giveaway of the summer. Go on, treat yourself.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck to you. Now, the King has invited the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary to St James's Palace to hear from young people, and all these young people have been affected by knife crime.
It's very, very scary out there if you're young. His Majesty was joined by actor Idris Elba to discuss how to give young people better opportunities. Our royal correspondent Cameron Walker was there.
Critical thing is how do we produce the action and the delivery? And so often, I can't help feeling the problem is how do you join up all the dots?
King Charles using his convening power to persuade his government to sit and listen to young people's ideas.
After getting stabbed, I really turned my life around, mainly because of my boxing coach. She was a great mentor for me.
Kyle was stabbed when he was a teenager. Now a Royal Marine and Team GB boxer, he told the King what regular training has done for him.
I was riveted to hear what Kyle was saying about his experiences, because it does seem to be what you were saying about being too exhausted to get into trouble is quite a good point, actually, when you're a teenager. And otherwise you've got so much energy, which can go in the wrong way if it's not help to go in a positive and constructive direction.
My grandma's not going to believe me on that one. She loves the King. It's an incredible experience and a very good story for the future.
We can't take our foot off the pedal. We have to stay focused.
Actor Idris Elba helps the King host the second Youth Summit at St James's Palace, which is expected to feature in a new Netflix documentary next year. He was given a grant by the King's Trust when he was younger and now runs an anti-knife crime campaign.
His Majesty was definitely encouraged by the group and the updates.
but there's more work to be done, especially having a solid plan. You know, the government has talked about halving knife crime in half over 10 years, and we're yet to see an actual plan.
Hi, nice to see you. How are you?
The government is bringing in tougher rules, but knife crime is up on last year. Campaigner Serena Wiebe suggests the government should use young people's ideas.
I think we need to give young people the floor a little bit, because at the end of the day we're the ones that are being affected by the knife crime, and also the families. And I think if we came together as young people and said, look, let's upskill our teachers, let's upskill the police, let's upskill the government, for example, we can tell them what we think is going wrong.
What Serena was saying too about listening to what works and doesn't work, that is absolutely critical, I think.
In September, the Knife Crime Coalition convenes to present a tangible plan to tackle Britain's knife crime epidemic. King Charles, it's thought, will be watching closely. Cameron Walker, GB News, at St James's Palace.
Well done to those folk and everything they're trying to do, because knife crime is just one of the most hideous, awful, terrible conditions in the world and in our country.
But it's like those who are perpetrating it don't have any empathy or compassion, and there's something that's gone, and they're just going around there with their knives as if they're... I can remember a couple of years ago in Notting Hill Carnival, where a load of people, and they were mainly black males, running around with knives, zombie knives in the carnival, and it's like, this is a really scary, dangerous piece of kit you got there. The police were literally powerless. I just thought, what has this country become?
Scary.
Well, and I fear for the young people as well. I'm glad I'm an old bag now.
Right, 28 minutes past 6. If you're travelling out and about today, here's what's happening.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. A road incident is causing delays on the A9 Broxton roundabout southbound, and drivers should proceed with caution. Roadworks on the M48 eastbound Severn Bridge have diversions. A collision on the A1 northbound in Nottinghamshire has shut all lanes. Normal traffic conditions are expected to resume between 8 and 8:15 this morning. Road users should plan alternate routes where possible. And on the trains, disruptions affect cross-country services between Reading and Basingstoke, with delays impacting Great Western Railway routes between Reading, Bedwin or Basingstoke. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Right, we're going to hit the break, and when we come back, Aidan McGee will have a bit of a sports update for you, OK? Thank you for watching and listening to us this morning. Eamonn and Nana on GB Breakfast News.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device, and as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Nice time of the day to reflect, to think of various things. And here's the vicar, Chris Tufnell, with our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Chris Tufnell, a vicar in the Church of England. It's reported that in the early 1900s, the Times newspaper asked some famous authors to respond to the question, what's wrong with the world today? One reply read simply, Dear Sir, I am. Yours faithfully, G.K. Chesterton. If we ran a poll on that same question today, I'm sure we'd get a wide range of responses. But I don't suppose many would say, I am. Over human history, the world has changed a lot, but if there's one thing that really hasn't changed, it's human nature. We're very ready to point out the faults in others and very slow to see them in ourselves. It's like in all our heads, there's a legal team ready to launch a prosecution whenever someone else does something wrong and to mount a defense whenever we do. Jesus put his finger right on the issue when he said, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? It's a sure sign of pride when we're more concerned about other people's sins than we are about our own. The only way to get the legal team in our heads to stand down is to know that the verdict's already in. As a Christian, I believe that through faith in Jesus, anyone can be declared not guilty because he was declared guilty for us when he died on the cross. And when you know you're forgiven, you're finally free to admit the truth about yourself and to show others the same grace you've received.
And from our daily reflection, we're now going to look ahead. We're going to look ahead to the Open, which begins tomorrow at Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland. Here is the broadcaster, Aidan McGee. I always love how they put it. Broadcaster Aidan McGee.
Kind of what I am, among other things.
Kind of what you are. Look, the Open, there's nothing quite like it, is there?
No, look, it's one of the most prestigious sporting events on the domestic and international calendar, Eamonn. Hot on the heels of Wimbledon, of course, but this is what it's all about. And it's a home tournament for Rory McIlroy. Now, he has said, hasn't he, just a few months ago, that he kind of basked in the glow of winning the Masters. He completed the Grand Slam, the first European player to do it. But he said he lost his edge after that. He was celebrating a bit too much. He didn't really have the desire. He'd worked so hard to win not just that Grand Slam, but just win a major. He hadn't done one in 11 years, since way back in 2014. Who'd have predicted that 11 years ago, that he'd go another 11 years without winning one? So he put everything into that, And I suppose mentally you need a break. I mean, I remember Andy Murray when he won Wimbledon in 2013, the first British player since Fred Perry, I think, on the men's side to do it. And he was actually on an episode of Jonathan Ross, and he said, look, I lost my way for about a year or so after that. It wasn't just injury. He lost the eye of the tiger. Yes, he did come back and he won another major back in 2016. And I think Rory McIlroy, given that he didn't really show up to the US PGA and the other majors since then, he needs to try and get back on track, and I think that the home event in Royal Portrush is the one to do that. But Nick Faldo has been talking to the papers, legendary golfer himself, won 6 majors, one ahead of Rory at the moment. And he said, look, he's still got a little bit to go before he becomes Europe's greatest ever, because it's not just about numbers and just about the majors.
Regularity.
It's consistency. And also, maybe he's aiming for something with Sevi that he can't actually achieve. It's what he achieved in what he did for golf.
He was out practising yesterday at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So he'll be getting ready to probably do the same again. I want to ask you two for all the crowds that are turning up and the people who are giving a lot of support. A lot of Americans coming as well to Portrush. There's a big row at the minute over food prices, over local restaurants and what they're charging. So, what are they charging for a chicken burger? A chicken burger which was £7.95 last week.
OK, can I go first? I reckon 15 quid.
I'm going to go for £16.99.
Very good, both of you, but both wrong.
20 quid.
£17.95.
I was close. I said £16.99.
So
I was
up
close.
by a tenner.
More than 100%.
They've slapped a tenner on that, and there's loads of other examples of things they're doing. But
it was similar in Wimbledon in the last couple of weeks. I went into my favourite Thai and said, I'll have a special deal, please. The two courses of 15 quid. No, not available this week, Aidan, I'm afraid. No, you get to sit down there and pay about 40 quid for a smaller portion as well.
Well, it's dynamic.
I'll be going there for a few weeks.
Dynamic pricing.
And the thing is, they get it. They do indeed.
Well, that's how it goes,
my friend, some football transfer news. I mean, it's always interesting when this window is available. Liverpool, we reckon, are honing in on a deal on who?
Alexander Isak, very talented 25-year-old Swedish striker who's really ripped it up in the last couple of years since Newcastle attracted that major investment. It's somebody who has been sought after by a lot of European clubs, as well as Arsenal and Liverpool. And I think Liverpool haven't been linked with him too much previously, and this is what the top clubs do. They sneak in under the radar and they get their man, just like Sir Alex Ferguson used to do back at Manchester United. And what was his mantra, Eamonn? It was always, when you're at the very, very top, you strengthen. That's when you get it. Just after they won the league they'd been multiple league champions back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They signed players like Jaap Stam and Ruud van Nistelrooy, and it kept them at the top.
And they got rid of players like Mark Hughes and Andre Kanchelskis.
That summer of '95, Paul Ince as well went into that summer as well. They ran out at Aston Villa on the first day, got beaten 3-1. He gave it time, and they integrated quite well. That was different because Ferguson then had players coming through the youth system.
No, that's what I'm saying. He had the courage. Woo, I mean, something like stupidity to get rid of players of that calibre, but then reintroduced others.
Without doubt. And I think Newcastle have really struggled because they're under these PSR rules. It's not as easy to do an Abramovich or a Sheikh Mansour these days because you've got these profit and sustainability rules which limit the amount you can spend. The Saudis who bought Newcastle in 2021... But then
going back to Ferguson, and all that mantra from Alan Hansen, you win nothing with kids. We had an academy, we had, people who were coming through, so all these people, all these youngsters that go to clubs like Manchester United and Arsenal and Newcastle and whatever, what happens to them? Why do they then have to dip into the transfer market if you've got an academy?
Well, you've got an academy, but they don't always produce great players. They're hit and miss. A player who can look good at 16 or 17 doesn't always develop. A year later, it might just emerge that actually they just had a bit of a growth spurt and they were bigger than everybody else, and they don't quite develop into the players and mature into the calibre that you expect. It's a movable feast football. You have to monitor the players every single year. And it's no different to when they're playing in their peak. If they have a bad season, it wasn't long before Fergie got rid of them.
OK, when you're back, we're going to be talking boxing. We're going to be talking about the kit deal that Man City have signed. But for the moment, Aidan, thank you.
Thank you so much. Right, well, still to come, making the news with Penny Smith and Norman Baker. But if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast of some of the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
There's the risk of some more heavy, thundery downpours affecting eastern parts of Europe as we go through the rest of this week. But across western areas towards the Canary Islands, Madeira, across much of Spain and Portugal, it's largely fine on Thursday. A decent amount of sunshine and feeling very warm or hot in that sunshine as well. Some showery rain likely across much of Italy, drier towards the south, but across parts of Greece, Turkey, there will be a fair few showers on offer. A drier theme for many through the end of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sunday mornings from 9:30.
She left office 35 years ago, which seems incredible.
God, that makes me feel really old. I remember being at school when she was deposed.
Oh, that makes me feel really old because I was way beyond school.
Well, I was 47 yesterday, so...
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Carry on.
So there are three generations that have grown up that weren't alive when Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister. And there are so many myths that have built up about her that... and part of the reason I wrote it was because my personal trainer, I broke my hip 2 years ago.
Yes.
So I had to get personal trainer to the rehab. And he's 25, or was then. And when he found out what I did for a living, he said, well, Margaret Thatcher, I've heard of her, but who was she? What did she do? He didn't even know she'd been Prime Minister. And I was like slightly horrified by this. So this is really aimed at those generations. You can't tell every aspect of her life in a book that size, but it really is an introduction to her. And the first sentence says, if you've read Charles Moore's 3-volume biography of her, please stop here. This book is not for you.
No.
So
it's an
it covers most of the
introduction to her.
things.
And by the way, maybe that revelation by your PT does ask questions about the national curriculum and history teaching. They should do a section, shouldn't they, on our first female Prime Minister, arguably. But what's the challenge then when you're writing somebody's life up? I mean, and what a life she led.
Well, I found out that it's much more difficult to write a short book than a long book because you really do have to be concise. I was told I had 30,000 words. I said, well, that's a pamphlet, not a book. So I stretched it to 45,000. But normally a biography would be 120, 150,000 words. So it really was quite a challenge to condense it all. And what do you leave out? I mean, I wasn't going to do a chapter on Northern Ireland, but as I was writing it, I thought, no, you can't do that.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
This morning we're delighted to welcome back Norman Baker, regular here on the newspaper panel, and new face, not new face to me, lovely face of Penny Smith. Lovely to see you, Penny.
And you, so nice.
Penny, can we talk about this story that has dominated the newspapers about the Afghans and the cover-up and how eventually this could cost the country £7 billion?
It is. So this is about the leak when a Royal Marine sent an email to a group of Afghans and accidentally included a spreadsheet containing 33,000 rows of information and the identities of an awful lot, 25,000 Afghans who were applying for asylum. So quite a lot of these, more than half, were soldiers who'd worked with the British Army and the remainder were their family members. So, I mean, it is one of those things that Mr Wallace, who was the Secretary of State, Defence Secretary at the time, Ben Wallace, he says it's not a cover-up. He says, I make no apology for this super injunction, which was normally used for people, you know, trying to keep their affairs out of the public eye. He He says, I make no apology for that injunction at the time. It was not, as some are childishly trying to claim, a cover-up. I took the view, excuse me, that if this leak was reported at the time, the existence of the list would put in peril those we needed to help out. And I think, surely, you know, I remember at the time after we retreated from Afghanistan, that everybody was saying, we need to help those people who helped us.
Absolutely.
Really
we owe these people, Norman, we certainly owe them their safety.
Yes.
We do, absolutely. I mean, there's a couple of things here. First of all, it shouldn't have been possible for someone to send this huge amount of data. There should be protections in place to stop that happening. You can't simply press a button and send it by accident. That should never have happened.
That's ridiculous.
The technology should have stopped that from occurring. But secondly, the whole issue is, have the Taliban got details of who's on this list? I think it's Ben Wallace is quite right to say that it was right to have an injunction in order to give time to get the people out of the country. But the question is, have we got them out of the country? I don't think we necessarily have. Do we know whether the Taliban's got access to this list? We haven't been told that yet.
But the thing is, don't you think, in a way, it's better that no one was talking about it? But now we're all talking about it. The Taliban, who've probably got loads of other things to do, and are thinking, oh, hold on a minute, let's have a look at that list again.
You have a list of 100,000 people, and the government are saying now, oh, well, look, 25,000 of them may be at risk. We'll look after 25,000 of them, not 100,000 of them.
They should be 100%. It should be 100%
Yeah, but that's not realistic, though, is it?
No, well...
We can't look after 100,000 people on a list.
Well, we take all the migrants in every day.
I just think that, you know, it's not realistic.
Who helped us big time when we were there. Also, let's face it, the British government is not particularly good at looking after data.
No, it's not,
I mean,
no.
we had 2007 loss of the post of in the post of 2 CDs containing the details of 25 million child benefits claimants. Then we have the 2013 Snowden leaks detailing GCHQ's secret surveillance methods against millions of internet users. And each time that we do something like this, everybody says, right, lessons will be learned. Are they, though?
No,
particularly when you're talking about something like this. I mean, I would worry if I was doing anything, if I was a secret agent or if I was working in a field that was where my life was in peril if it was ever discovered. I read these things and I just think I would be scared if I was doing those things.
Yeah, it shouldn't be possible to send that detail on. And it could have been, it was Afghans in this case, it could have been spies, MI6 spies abroad. It could be listed there, it's good, isn't it?
Norman, let me ask you about the 2 men who went on this mission to cut down a sycamore tree in the Gap in Northumberland. Daniel Graham and Adam Crothers. There is fury now at their jail term, which a lot of people are saying was far too soft for what they did. What do you think?
Well, I mean, look, they were complete idiots, and they've behaved in a way which is irresponsible, in a way that's offended a great many people. This is a very, very special tree, which everybody kind of knew about in the area and went to visit. It was an iconic tree, and really there's no excuse for it. They said they were drunk, and the judge says, no, they weren't. This was premeditated. They were experienced tree fellas who were in there to do this, and they've got their just comeuppance, I think, in terms of the sentence that's been given. I don't think it's too light. I mean, to be honest with you, 4 years and 3 months is quite a lot for cutting down a tree.
It's not enough, is it?
Well, I know. I think it probably is. To be honest with you, I'm not defending them in any way, but that's quite a high sentence, and it reflects, I think, the anger people have.
I would commemorate them. I would get 2 pictures of them and place them beside the stump of the tree, or whatever's left there, and say, this tree is not here any longer because of these 2 morons.
Yeah, that'd be quite a nice thing to do, Eamonn, to be honest with you.
I think I'd give them 6 years. 4's not enough.
Would you? No, I think I agree with Norman. I think that's about right.
Sorry.
I mean, they are obviously complete morons, as I say.
I mean, they've ruined their lives, actually, and they won't get an easy time in prison either.
No. Penny, what do we make of the young girl, the 12-year-old girl, who was not allowed to deliver her address for the, what was it, the Union Day or whatever at school?
It was all about celebrating celebrations.
Your culture, your history,
Yes.
Yeah.
So it appears that the school did not... So for those who don't know, what happened was that this young girl was going in to celebrate Culture Day. And so she wore her sparkly Union Jack dress and she went in a Union flag dress to go, and she was going to go and celebrate British culture and talking about cups of tea and all the rest of it, and saying fish and chips, values of fairness and politeness. And the school went, no, it's not a celebration of your culture. You get to celebrate being Britain every day, being British every day. This is for other people to celebrate their cultures. Well, maybe the main thing to do is to actually explain that first, then.
OK.
So that, because otherwise, if you're going to say celebrate your culture, then of course people are going to celebrate.
She's very good at defending herself. This is what she's had to say.
Went into school, she was taking part in a culture diversity day, which was held by the school. She got as far as the school gates, and I think the school stopped her and told her that she wasn't eligible to take part in the events that day. They took her to one side, put her more or less in isolation. They kept her in reception. She called me, and I had to go and collect her from school.
British culture is important. Me not being allowed to read my speech, it's really upset me, and it's embarrassed me as well, because I prepared it and I really wanted to share it to my school.
So a spokesperson for Stowe Valley Trust said, "We are committed to fostering an environment where every pupil feels respected, valued and included. We have since spoken directly with the pupil and her family to listen to their concerns and reflect on how this could have been handled better. We are committed to learning from this experience and ensuring that every student feels recognised and supported when expressing pride in their heritage." Right. I just want to quickly come to this story about the Thames Water bosses who blame sewage leaks on the rise on too much rain. Now, this is an utter disgrace.
Oh, this is two fingers up to the public from Thames Water bosses. That's what it is, actually. Yeah. They've taken a huge amount of money, millions in bonuses. Yeah. They've given themselves everything that they want themselves. They don't care about the public. The amount of sewage has gone up this year. After all the fuss, there's an increase in sewage of 34.3% this year. They don't care.
I get this, and they're talking about temporary renationalisation or something. So, in other words, the government come away and take away their problems, and then we'll take it back over again when it's in a money-making situation.
You don't have to do that. If you look at what happened to Railtrack back in 2004, the government simply took over Railtrack and said, "Sorry, you're out, mate."
That's it.
And that's what they should do with Thames Water. You know, we talked about these two guys cutting down trees. These Thames Water guys ought to be up in court, in my view.
Environmental disaster is what it is. It's absolutely appalling.
They should be up in court.
Also, what's so annoying about water in particular is the fact that you can't actually take your business elsewhere.
Exactly.
If Thames Water is my company, I can't say, do you know what, I'm going to shop around and go take my business to somewhere else, to someone else who doesn't do this. It's a monopoly. You can't change anything.
It's anti-competition. It cannot be privatised. It should be owned by us.
It's the worst ever privatisation.
Guys, got to leave it there. We'll see you again in 40 minutes or so. There'll be more from the both of them. Here's Alex Burkle with the weather.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Now, for many, today is going to be drier than it was yesterday, but not everywhere. That's because there is a front across parts of the southwest. This is bringing more cloud here, even some outbreaks of rain, particularly across Devon and Cornwall, but some of that rain is likely to push into parts of Dorset, Somerset, maybe Wiltshire and the south of Wales as well. Elsewhere, and a few showers are quite likely across parts of southern Scotland, maybe northeastern England and down the eastern side. Otherwise, though, it's looking largely dry, decent amount of sunshine, and with that sunshine, temperatures rising. It's going to be a bit warmer than yesterday, highs of around 26, 27, possibly 28 Celsius. Then, as we go through into this evening, still a few showers dotted around across some central southern parts of Scotland, but a fine end to the day across many northern parts and towards Aberdeenshire as well in the east. Also largely fine across Northern Ireland, a decent amount of sunshine here, and for many parts of northern England, central eastern England and North Wales, just one or two showers perhaps. But still in the southwest it is going to be quite cloudy and there's more rain to come. None of it especially heavy for the time being, but as we go overnight, more wet weather feeds its way into western areas, so across parts of Wales and across Northern Ireland, and it's here where we're likely to see some relatively intense rain, could even start to turn a bit thundery. Similar to last night, it's not going to be especially chilly. Temperatures for many holding up up in double figures, some places only falling to around 17 or 18 Celsius, so pretty warm indeed. And then as we go through tomorrow, quite wet across some western parts. Like I said, it's across Northern Ireland where we're going to have the heaviest, most intense rain, potential for some high rainfall totals and some thundery downpours. Some of that wet weather pushing into parts of Scotland and down the western side of England and Wales as well. Staying drier though towards the east, and temperatures, if anything, a little bit higher than today.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Drivers should be aware that the A9 Broxton roundabout southbound is currently blocked due to a road traffic incident. Delays are expected, so please approach with caution. The M48 eastbound Severn Bridge is undergoing roadworks and is closed, with diversions in place. Over in Worcestershire, there's an incident involving an overturned vehicle on the M42 northbound entry slip at Junction 1. One of two lanes remains closed, so proceed carefully. And on the trains, both Cross Country and Great Western Railway are experiencing disruptions between Reading and Basingstoke, as well as Bedwin. Stay informed and stay safe. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash. So make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. Good morning. The biggest data leak in Britain's history.
The lives of up to 100,000 Afghans put at risk in an unprecedented super injunction to stop all reporting.
At a cost of £850 million and almost 7,000 more asylum seekers, is this the most expensive mistake in British history?
Serious data incident should never have happened. It may have occurred 3 years ago under the previous government, but to all those whose information was compromised, I offer a sincere apology today on behalf of the British government.
Lending rules relaxed, red tape attacked. The Chancellor talks tough, but will the markets play ball?
Regulators in other sectors must take up the call that I make this evening, not to bend to the temptation of excessive caution, but to boldly regulate for growth.
The rate of inflation in the month of June is being released as we speak, so stay with us. We'll bring you that breaking news.
Should migrants be able to claim universal credit? Debating that after it was revealed almost $1 billion is paid to non-British citizens every month.
A schoolgirl who made headlines after teachers forced her out of the classroom for wearing a Union Jack dress speaks out on GB News.
Me not being allowed to read my speech, it's really upset me and it's embarrassed me as well because I prepared it and I really wanted to share it to my school.
The Open gets underway at Royal Portrush just 24 hours from now, but world number one Scotty Scheffler says golf is leaving him unfulfilled. He's got £65 million in the bank, by the way. And with a countdown on to the start of the Premier League season, could Liverpool be about to spend £120 million to smash the British transfer record?
It's a drier and warmer day for many, but not everywhere. That's because there is some rain pushing into parts of the southwest. I'll have the details coming up.
It's just gone 7 o'clock, just after 7 o'clock, 2 minutes past. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, good morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Nana Akweer, and this is GB News Breakfast.
We're going to start this hour. We're delighted to say we can welcome the Shadow Chancellor, Mel Stride, who joins us now from central London. Mel, good morning to you. Big morning, things happening fast. Just got those inflation figures. Don't know if you've heard them. Up, gentle rise of 0.2%. So inflation very slow. Gives us an overall total of 3.6. What's your take on that?
Well, it's too high, Eamon, and the reason it's too high, and remember it was about half that under the last government, we got it down to about bang on 2%, is the government's been out there borrowing and spending vast amounts of money, and that has been stoking inflation. And of course what that means is interest rates being higher for longer, which is obviously going to be felt through people's mortgages, business borrowing costs, and also the servicing costs of our national debt that this government is ever adding to, which is running at about £100 billion a year, which is twice what we spend on defence. So the wrong economic decisions leading to higher inflation, I'm afraid.
Listening to the Chancellor's speech at the Mansion House last night, she was basically saying, let's do away with this cautiousness, let's be bold, let's get out there, let's be more strident with lending rules, not as hemmed in by them.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. I think there has been a kind of excessively cautious culture amongst some of the regulators, and we need to get back to the basics of regulation, not getting in the way of growth, and making sure regulators do whatever they can to facilitate growth, as well, of course, of protecting the financial system and consumers as well. But we need to get that balance right. But what I would say with the Chancellor is it's all very well to stand up at the Mansion House and say that, whilst at the same time, of course, she's put us in a position where we now have very poor and weak public finances, and we've got a summer of absolute uncertainty approaching this coming budget as to whether taxes are going to be going up, and I think we all know that they will be, and who's going to be paying the bill. That is not an environment in which growth occurs, I'm afraid.
Well, they would argue that you left them a £22 billion black hole that I think they've actually made bigger, but they would argue that, and some of these measures have to be put in place. So that's kind of why she's doing the thing. For example, the national insurance hike on employers.
Well, no, I disagree with that. The £22 billion black hole, the Office for Budget Responsibility, that's the independent forecaster, has completely debunked that number. It's just completely erroneous. The only black hole that has actually been created is the one that this government created when it stripped out all the savings from welfare that it was trying to get through the Commons. That was a £5 billion cost there, and the U-turn that they did on the winter fuel means testing. That means they are sitting there with a £6 billion black hole as they go into the budget in the autumn. And this is one of the factors, as well as mismanaging the economy so we've got low growth, that are going to lead to those tax increases in the autumn. And that, of course, is going to weigh still further on consumers and hard-pressed people up and down the country and businesses as well.
Mel, could I draw your attention to this big story today about the Afghan migrant cover-up. You know, we talk about costs and spending, and this could cost the country £7 billion.
And the embargo was put under your government.
Well, so what we don't actually know the kind of figures here, Eamonn. There are all sorts of numbers, everything from about 800 million upwards. But look, I think that the principle here is an important one, and that is that when this data was leaked, which was a terrible error on the part of the Ministry of Defence and should never, ever happen again. It's extraordinary it happened in the first place. But it did place at risk tens of thousands of Afghans who had, in many cases, bravely assisted us when we were involved in Afghanistan and whose lives would be put in danger as a consequence of this data being out there. And that's why this super injunction was brought in. It was continued by the current government as well. And I think in principle that was the right approach. But of course there will be many questions, quite rightly now, around this, and that's where Parliament will now play a full part, including the Defence Select Committee, which no doubt will be launching an inquiry fairly shortly, I would have thought.
Do you think it was right to lift the super injunction?
Well, those are judgments to be taken by the government. They did have a review from a former deputy head of our security services into what the current situation is, the risk and so on, and they clearly came to the decision that now was the time to remove that. I don't know the details around that particular judgment, but clearly that would have been looked at very carefully.
I was going to ask you, though, back to the economy. If you were in power now, what would you be doing differently to Rachel Reeves?
Gosh. Well, no, that is an extraordinary. That is a great question. I think it's like saying, though, look, if somebody's driven a car into a brick wall at 100 miles an hour, look, Mel, take the steering wheel and tell us how you'll get out of that. I wouldn't have got where we are in the first place, and there are three principal things I would have done differently. One is on the tax and spending side, I would not have been borrowing vast sums of money, and I would certainly not have been taxing business, because that's part of the reason why economic growth has been very, very anemic. Secondly, on productivity, that's output per worker, I wouldn't have been going in and giving 14% pay rises to train drivers, 22% to the junior doctors, with no strings attached, no requirement for greater efficiencies. And the third thing is welfare. We had shown in government that we can make serious savings from the welfare bill, £5 billion due to reforms that I put through. We had further plans to bring the welfare bill back under control. And if they had done those three things, we would be in a very different position now.
Shadow Chancellor, thank you for your time this morning. Always appreciated. Good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eamonn. Thank you.
Right, Fraser Marsh is in the studio now from Spiked. And Fraser, this asylum situation, the migrant cover-up, £7 billion predicted the cost going to be in this. So maybe up to 100,000 Afghans offered residency in the UK. That may have fallen out of 25. I don't even know where to begin with this. It's a blunder. It's an email blunder. No one seems to have been held to account for it. What's your take?
Yeah, it's both the worst data breach in British history and one of the most extraordinary cover-ups. I can't agree with Mel Stride there that the super injunction needed to last anywhere near as long as it has. I mean, one of the judges that tried to overturn the super injunction in recent months felt that he was going bonkers, that the government was able to hide this level of spending, also the relocation of this many people to British territory without any debate in Parliament, without any scrutiny in the press. The level of cover-up is extraordinary and really should not be tolerated.
But perhaps they didn't want to draw attention to it, which I think is wise, because obviously then once people... The Taliban have probably got enough on their hands right now. I doubt they're that organised enough to be looking for the relative of so-and-so and so-and-so. They've got a country to run and they're probably finding it's quite hard work. So it is wise that you kind of keep it quiet, and you've made a mistake. This is a big mess up, we know that. But what would be the benefit of allowing that information to be out there?
Well, I think one thing that is extraordinary is that not only did they cover it up from the press, and you could say, OK, there's a case for that, for the protection of many of these people. Exactly. They did not inform the people who are at risk, who maybe could have decided to moved to a neighbouring country to flee of their own accord until their affairs were sorted out.
But do we have any evidence that anyone has been attacked or as a result of this breach?
That we don't have, and we still don't have any evidence whether the list has fallen into the Taliban's hands or not. I mean, that's purely speculative, but of course the danger is very high for those people, and it is right that we take care of this, that we prevent them from essentially having their lives taken, because by appearing on that list, by applying for this asylum scheme, even if they weren't working with the British Army, but for applying for a scheme that was essentially for people who would have been translators or worked alongside British forces, that would have marked them out in the Taliban's eyes as traitors, as potential targets. And so it's our responsibility to deal with that and to keep them safe.
What about the people that are suing the government, though? Because there's a lot of them. We can't afford it. In the end, ultimately, we were trying to do the right thing because these people have helped us. So the intention wasn't bad, but unfortunately it's gone wrong.
Yeah, The Times is reporting that 1,000 people already are planning to sue the government, potentially costing an extra $250 million. Now, I don't know if that's part of the $6 billion figure that's been bandied about. A lot of the figures are confusing and seem to be revised constantly and are different in every paper.
I don't think they should be allowed to sue the government on this, I don't think.
Well, I think if the government has put them at risk, or even so, you know, it is when a government breaches your data, breaches your privacy, that you're usually allowed to sue. That is the kind of standard.
I just think that if you've been brought here and the intention was good and all that, the fact that you can now sue if you're not happy with the results, and I know I'm not supporting the fact that there was a big mistake, but ultimately I just don't think they should be allowed to sue the government on that.
Well, you'd hope the courts would take that into account, of course, that actually, you know, they're being helped, they're not being deliberately put into harm's way. But it's very difficult to say that people are not allowed to sue because that's their legal right.
Well, you can,
at least attempt.
It could be a condition, I would say. I would have made it a condition.
Fraser, got to leave it there, though. Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate it. Just to re-emphasise to you, inflation up 0.2%. Those figures just announced. That gives us an overall inflation rate of 3.6, which the Shadow Chancellor has just described as too much. You couldn't say too much when it comes to our Great British Giveaway, could you? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it could be yours.
This is your chance to enjoy luxury this summer. It's our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. What would you do with that? With all of that cash, you could just chill out, treat yourself and indulge in the finer things in life, somewhere like here, Downhall Hotel and Spa. You really could win the cash giveaway of the summer. Go on, treat yourself.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
So breaking news, inflation rose by up by 3.6%, so it is up from 3.4%, so it rose by 0.2%, and that comes as the economy shrank in May. Chancellor Rachel Reeves last night set out her vision for Britain's financial future in her annual Mansion House speech. And joining us now is business and financial journalist Jeff Ho. Jeff, OK, so inflation is obviously rising, that's prices rising, with wages lagging behind, which puts us in an interesting predicament. It ultimately makes us a lot poorer. Rachel Reeves said that she was going to reverse all of that.
Well, if Rachel Reeves thinks that she's going to reverse that anytime soon, I'm sorry, this is very, very far from reality. The whole thing is that at first, when they were elected, they did actually set out the point that this is going to be a very hard slog. And this is just further proof that this is going to be an even harder slog than we first thought. We're up 2 percentage points to 3.6%. This is not where we want to be. The inflation target is 2%. So I would actually be looking now for the Bank of England to cut rates, because if they don't at some point, we're already teetering on the abyss. The latest GDP data was not great. Tomorrow, we have the latest employment figures. And what will be really interesting is that they should actually show that for nearly 3 years now, the number of jobs that are available to people, open jobs, vacancies, has actually fallen. You actually add to that the fact that redundancies are going up and the economy is teetering. We are in a very bad place.
But that's not a surprise. If you put national insurance on employers, then they're not going to hire as many people. So you are shrinking the market as you speak. That's very unwise.
It's not just that. You've got the increase in minimum wage. We've
Business
got
rates.
the employment rights bill that's being worked through at the moment. Basically, we have massive indigestion that's coming on the part of employers and their ability to absorb things. Previous governments would have actually, of all shapes and flavours, OK, Labour, Conservative, whatever, would have actually waited to try and actually bed things in so that employers and the economy can actually handle it. You put all of this together at once, then the external shocks, like higher inflation because of, well, fuel prices mainly and ongoing global geopolitical instability. Then you also factor in Donald Trump. Will we get trade deals? Will there be increased tariffs? And you have a right mess. Basically, they have played this completely wrong.
Well, you've missed out the incompetent government as well, because if Rachel Reeves is the best, we're in trouble. Right, well, thank you very much. Really good to talk to you. Really good to get your thoughts. That's Jeff Ho. He's a business and finance journalist.
17 minutes past 7 o'clock on this Wednesday morning. The weather picture over the next few days is going to be a bit of a mixed bag, as Alex Burkle will explain.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Now, for many, today is going to be drier than it was yesterday, but not everywhere. That's because there is a front across parts of the southwest. This is bringing more cloud here, even some outbreaks of rain, particularly across Devon and Cornwall, but some of that rain is likely to push into parts of Dorset, Somerset, maybe Wiltshire and the south of Wales as well. Elsewhere, and a few showers are quite likely across parts of southern Scotland, maybe northern, northeastern England and down the eastern side. Otherwise, though, it's looking largely dry, decent amount of sunshine, and with that sunshine, temperatures rising. It's going to be a bit warmer than yesterday, highs of around 26, 27, possibly 28 Celsius. Then as we go through into this evening, still a few showers dotted around across some central southern parts of Scotland, but a fine end to the day across many northern parts and towards Aberdeenshire as well in the east. Also largely fine across Northern Ireland, a decent amount of sunshine here, and for many parts of Northern England, central eastern England and North Wales, just 1 or 2 showers perhaps. But still in the southwest it is going to be quite cloudy and there's more rain to come. None of it especially heavy for the time being, but as we go overnight, more wet weather feeds its way into western areas, so across parts of Wales and across Northern Ireland, and it's here where we're likely to see some relatively intense rain, could even start to turn a bit thundery. Similar to last night, it's not going to be especially chilly. Temperatures for many holding up in double figures, some places only falling to around 17 or 18 Celsius, so pretty warm indeed. And then as we go through tomorrow, quite wet across some western parts. Like I said, it's across Northern Ireland where we're going to have the heaviest, most intense rain, potential for some high rainfall totals and some thundery downpours. Some of that wet weather pushing into parts of Scotland and down the western side of England and Wales as well. Staying drier though towards the east, and temperatures, if anything, a little bit higher than today.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You may not have known this. Universal credit is available to migrants throughout this country. Question we're going to be asking right after the break is, should it? Don't go away.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Big fight. Wembley on Saturday, Aidan, tell us more.
This is Alexander Usyk against Daniel Dubois, British contender. You would probably argue, Eamonn and Nana, that Dubois has come closer to beating Alexander Usyk. This is a second fight, a rematch, if you like, than any other boxer. We know that Tyson Fury went in the ring with him twice. We know that Anthony Joshua went in there twice, but they couldn't get the job done. He's just an outstanding manoeuvre. He's so durable. His manoeuvrability around the ring, his footwork is so superb. And even though he's a small heavyweight and he won the belts at welterweight as well, he just doesn't seem to be. Well, he's not a big enough target for the likes of Joshua and Fury to hit. That said, when Dubois fought him a year or two ago, he actually floored him. It looked like he won the fight, Eamonn, but it was actually given as a low blow. It was below the belt slightly, although it looked, for all the world, as if it was around the navel, and everyone felt that Usyk got away with one a little bit. Now, listen, this fight's going to be big on Saturday. There's going to be 80,000 people at Wembley, but Daniel Dubois just doesn't have really the X factor that some of the other British contenders have, the Joshuas and the Furies. I was contacted about 6 months ago by somebody saying, can you help him get a £100,000 deal for his shorts, to sponsor his shorts? Couldn't get anybody because they just weren't interested in the name.
Here, talking about paying for your kit, Man City have done a deal.
£1 billion over 10 years with Puma. They have had Puma in the past, but this just... I mean, everyone says this... Chelsea win the Club World Cup on Sunday against PSG in the States. £100 million they got for that. Manchester City are going to be getting that over 10 years pro rata without even kicking a ball. Yeah. And so, you know, you have to wonder where the game's going when you're seeing these kind of deals. I mean, when Vodafone used to get involved with Man United, it was something like £20 million over 3 years or something. And now this dwarfs those kind of deals and it just shows where the game's heading.
Stellar. You mentioned some possible transfer news, football transfer news, Premier League news last time out. I know you've got some business maybe being done between Chelsea and Man U.
Yeah, I mean, look, they keep missing out on targets. Shows where United are, really sadly, much to your dislike, I guess. But Ruben Amorim has been trying for various different targets throughout the season. Missed out on Roy Delap to Chelsea, for example. But he needs a striker desperately. They haven't scored enough goals last season. The defence has been fairly robust, but look, it looks now as if they're going for Nicholas Jackson. That's certainly the story on the back of some of the papers today. Nicholas Jackson of Chelsea, who paid £30 million for him 2 years ago from Villarreal. Averages 1 goal in 3 games. I mean, if I was United, I'd be looking for slightly more than that, given that Chelsea are rumoured to be looking for 3 times what they paid for him. So £90 million. I mean, I remember
forget it.
I remember when Graham Taylor signed a player for Watford for £2 million back in 2000, and he said to me, "You can pay £2 million these days, Aidan, and you're lucky if they can trap a ball." Well, I mean,
they all think Man United come looking and they think they can put the price up. The difference is Man United are now stony broke.
They are,
so
indeed.
They haven't got the money.
But I still think there's... Look, £90 million is only what's been suggested in the papers. I think that Chelsea will be realistic in that. They have to move some players out because they've got so many players on the roster, and I think that they will do a deal that's somewhere around... They want to make a profit on him, but his output for Chelsea is not quite good enough. But you know what? Top coaches, which Amorim claims to be, and we hope that's what he is, he will look at Nicholas Jackson and think, I can get a little bit more out of him. How many times have we seen players not perform at one club but do well at another? So, all right, he's missed out on a few targets. It may look as if he's 4th on the list, but we've seen plenty of times in the past, Eamonn, when the first or the 3rd or 4th choice has been better than the first.
Thanks, Aidan. Appreciate it. And I know when you come back next time, we're going to be talking about day 1 of the Open, which is going to begin tomorrow, Royal Portrush. Thank you very much indeed.
Right, well, coming up, we'll be debating whether migrants should have the right to access universal credit. This is GB News Breakfast with Eamonn and Nana.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. There is a broken down vehicle on the M8 westbound at junction 16, so approach cautiously. Diversions are in place on the M48 eastbound Severn Bridge, suggesting alternate routes. In Surrey, the M25 anti-clockwise between junction 11 and junction 10 has 3 lanes open due to a broken down vehicle. Expect minor delays. Stay cautious between junction 30 and junction 28 of the M25 anti-clockwise with 30-minute delays. And on the trains, cross-country services are disrupted between Reading and Basingstoke, and Great Western Railway between Reading and Bedwin or Basingstoke. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Over 1 million foreigners are receiving universal credit. If you add that up, it's over £1 billion, £1 billion every single month to foreigners who haven't paid a penny into society here, and yet we pay them. I just don't understand this country. I really don't.
Well, I don't think there's any other country that would do that and place such an unfair burden on the British taxpayers.
Yeah,
do you think it
who
is?
themselves won't be benefiting from the whole pot in comparison here.
Yeah, because you don't get the equal sort of return in a way.
No.
Like the way they treat boat migrants who've come here who are children, supposedly children, because we're not allowed to check their actual age. There's no compulsory check, and the Labour government didn't put that in. The Conservative wanted to do that. Is very different to the way they treat the children from children's homes in this country. Yeah. So in a children's home, you'd probably be released at 16 and sent out, whereas you come on a boat and you say that you're very young, they'll nurture you all the way through till about 25.
So here's the question. Should universal credit exist to help anyone living in Britain who is struggling? This morning we were asking, should migrants be able to claim universal credit at all? Joining us, the founder of the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity, Stephen Wolfe, and political commentator Matthew Stadlen. Matthew, what do you think of the situation?
Eamonn, you just said that these 1.2 million people have paid not a penny towards the British state, and that's complete nonsense. Plenty of these people will have paid money into the British state.
Where? How?
700,000 of these people are EU citizens, many of whom will have been paying tax. Universal credit is a credit that you get if you are on a low income. So that includes people who are working. And so many of these people will have been paying taxes potentially for years and years and years. Yep. Tax and welfare should go hand in hand. I don't know what you're suggesting, Eamonn, whether you want...
Look, I don't know. You're the expert. I'm telling you that 16% of people on universal credit in Great Britain were foreign nationals, right? So you interpret it the way you want. As far as I'm concerned, they don't seem to belong to this country, but obviously you'll contradict me and say otherwise. Let's have your friend's opinion on this opposite you.
Stephen.
Good morning, Eamonn. Matthew is correct in the sense that he says that 700,000 people who are claiming this could well be non-EU citizens, but he has no evidence, because there is no figures from the ONS, the OBR, the Home Office, or the Department of Security, Social Services that identify whether these people are actually working at the same time. So the figures he gives to you in that sense are completely bogus. And it's a shame, because I know that he wants to try and be accurate in this. But really is the principle about this is, secondly, that you can't claim universal credit in this country if you're non-UK citizens for 5 years unless you have a right to reside, indefinite leave to remain. And what you have is over 500 to 600,000, I would estimate nearly 700,000, who fall within that category. And those people have not paid any money into our social security network, either through income tax or national insurance or any other form of tax. So the question is, out of the nearly 20% of universal credit costs of 12 billion a year, should they be entitled to that? The answer to that for many people will be no, because you then add 10 billion a year, which is going to be the cost of asylum and immigration, housing those who are coming across. And we know from yesterday's news that we add another 7 billion for the 24,000 Afghans that will add to the 100,000 in total, a city the size of Oxford, that will come in the next year. So we're looking at a bill there of £29 billion a year to cost those who are non-UK citizens.
Matthew, look, often when you go to visit another country, so Australia or other countries, they will make sure that when you come there as a foreign national, you can completely support yourself so that you are not a burden on the people in that country. So it begs the question, if they are on low incomes and they're foreign nationals, surely they should be able to support themselves, shouldn't have to claim benefits if they're coming to this country to deliver a service of some kind or if they're working. You know, it just doesn't seem right that they come here and we're going to subsidise their income. Most countries wouldn't do that for you.
Of course, we want people who come to this country to contribute. And as I've said, and contrary to what Eamonn has said, a lot of the people we're talking about here, of the 1.2 million, will be contributing to this country. Many will have families, and the idea that we strip them of benefits when they are fully entitled to be here.
But they shouldn't be. Yeah, but they might be entitled to be here.
Let me answer the question, because you've invited me as a guest on your show.
But just because they're entitled to be here doesn't mean they should.
We don't want to push people. We don't want to push families into poverty. And if you've been here for a long time and you are on low income, then you should be entitled to benefits in the same way that we are. I am a taxpayer. I don't want to pay my taxes to people who don't deserve it. But many, many of these people will be fully deserving of this credit. Nothing I have said is bogus. We are a civilized society, and we should not distinguish in the way that is being suggested.
Yeah, we're civilized society, but we're not stupid.
These people are refugees.
Yeah, but sorry, you can't just go on a run. Listen, I heard what you're saying. I'm just challenging you. You can't just go on a run. You know, I've got something to say to you as well. Look, we are a civilized society. We always have been, and we always will be, and that's how we are. But that's not the point. The point is, you've come to somebody else's country. You should be able to support yourself. Those, especially
100,000 of these people, Nana, that we're talking about roughly, are refugees who are fully entitled to be here. Presumably, you want them to live in extreme poverty, because if you take their benefits away, that's what very well could happen.
I want them to work, is what I want them to do. If you've come here and you're allowed to be here, then you need to work and you need to put money into the system before you get given something out, whether you're a refugee or any other.
Many of them will be
working.
National. Many of them will be working.
And you don't get benefits. You should have to put
working.
in. No, you shouldn't just be given that, because people in this country don't get that either. So I don't see why.
Yes, they do. If you're working on a low income.
Yeah, but if you went to another country, you wouldn't get that, though. You go to another country and try that, you won't get it. Well, if you could name another country, listen, I've got to go. Sadly, I'm not going to get an answer to that. But Matthew Stadler, thank you very much, and also Stephen Wolf.
Stephen Wolf, thank you very much indeed. Matthew Stadler proving to be the. I think the reason a lot of people will absolutely say that they shouldn't get credit in this country. But there we go. Penny Smith, we say hello, good morning and welcome to her. And Norman Baker, always nice to see him. And they're going to be reviewing the newspapers after we look at where the holiday sun is.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
There's the risk of some more heavy, thundery downpours affecting eastern parts of Europe as we go through the rest of this week. But across western areas towards the Canary Islands, Madeira, across much of Spain and Portugal, it's largely fine on Thursday. Decent amount of sunshine and feeling very warm or hot in that sunshine as well. Some showery rain likely across much of Italy, drier towards the south, but across parts of Greece, Turkey, there will be a fair few showers on offer. A drier theme for many through the end of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast. At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Is J.K. Rowling an extremist, radicalised TERF?
It's extraordinarily patronising to suggest that a woman who's created whole new magical worlds from her own imagination has to be radicalised by other people in order to form her own views. That in itself I find extremely patronising. And, you know, a man may think that women don't have our own rich inner life and form our own political views, but we do, as Nana's just demonstrated. But secondly, there's nothing radical about believing that men and women are material realities, and sometimes in law, in policy, in life, that matters. That's her position. It's a very common, in fact, it's a majority position.
James, what is a woman?
But that's Nana.
Well, I'm just wondering. Well, it's just a simple question because no. I'm just asking, what is a woman then? Because do you believe that a man can become a woman and a woman can become a man?
Yes, because man and woman is gendered.
So what is a woman? So what is a woman?
There is male and there is female, which is sex. This is a problem that I think a lot of you have. I'm a feminist. I believe in women's rights. I believe in women's safety. But the problem here is we are focusing on an absolute minority of people who have no, when you look at it in the round, who have no threat to women. Statistically,
you don't know that. You listen.
In the way
you don't. The threat to women.
Sorry, not in the way that men are. This is the whole problem. Is that you saying man dressing up as a woman?
Yes.
That's despicable, Nana.
Well, it's the truth.
That is not the reality.
What else?
Nana, do you have any trans friends?
I have plenty of them.
Do you mix with trans people?
I have mixed with trans people. I mix with all people.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Here's how the front pages stack up on this Wednesday morning. The leak that put 100,000 lives at risk. That's the Times, leading on the major Ministry of Defence data breach.
The Daily Mail also lead on that story, claiming ministers still haven't come completely clean.
Headline in The Sun, chopped. As they lead on John Turode being axed from MasterChef after making a racist remark.
Allegedly. The Mirror also leads on that story, calling the BBC's kitchen nightmares.
And we're delighted to welcome Norman Baker here as the panel to discuss all that, and together with new face for us, Penny Smith. Very good to see you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about cyclists first of all, and this is in the I newspaper. And the news are there's a lot of them about, Norman.
There is a lot of them about, and they say that by 2027, cyclists will outnumber car drivers in London, which is an astonishing achievement, I suppose, for those who've been promoting cycling. There are now 1.33 million cycling journeys daily, every day in London. And already in the city of London, bicycles outnumber cars during the rush hour. So there's been a major transformation. And you saw that actually from Amsterdam, which used to be in the 1980s, chock-a-block with traffic, and now everybody's on a bicycle in Amsterdam. So it can actually work.
No.
I should say that when I was...
There may be that there's more cyclists, but there's still more cars.
Well, I'm just telling you what it says in the eye. In the eye, it says in the City of London there are more bicycles now than there are cars.
Is that the City of London?
The City of London.
That's just because you're not getting the bus.
By 2027, there'll be more cyclists than drivers, it says. I should say that when I was a minister in the Department for Transport, I insisted on having a bicycle because they wanted to give me a ministerial car at vast expense to sit there with the driver doing nothing all day. And I said, well, I don't need it. And secondly, the traffic is so terrible in London, and what's the point of getting in a car? I can get from A to B quicker, either by tube if it's a long distance or by bicycle if it's a short distance. So I insisted on having a ministerial bike. I was only the third minister ever not to have a ministerial car.
I quite like sitting in a car.
And did it work for you?
Yeah, absolutely did work for me. Absolutely worked for me. I used to cycle across, except when I went to Downing Street, because in Downing Street, I had the same problem as Andrew Mitchell had. I remember him. He had a confrontation with the police because the policeman said, well, you can't bring that in here. I said, why not? I'm here for a meeting, in the cabinet room. Why can't I bring my bike in? And he said, well, there's nowhere to put it. I said, what do you mean there's a whole space over there? What do you mean I can nowhere to put it? They were very anti-cyclists on the gate of Downing Street.
Yeah, but you don't want to arrive at a meeting hot and sweaty, hello, Norman.
I wasn't hot and sweaty, I was relaxed.
From your bicycle ride, which sounds very eco.
Well, these electric bikes that are everywhere in quite a few cities, they involve virtually no effort. And I mean, it's good and bad, because the bad thing now is that a one-way street, you have to look both ways at all times, because there will be a bike going the wrong way. We know that a lot of them go through red lights, don't obey the rules of the law, wearing headphones, cycling along, sometimes with no hands on. I used to love doing that as a child.
Well, yeah, they may be dangerous and making danger for themselves, but I would fear, Penny, that it is dangerous being on them. I personally would be frightened being on them around London.
I think now that the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit is there, and there are so many cycle superhighways and everything else, they have done a lot to make it feel a lot safer, so that there are actually poles separating you from the traffic. So there are long journeys that you can go where you're barely on a road at all. But yes.
I don't know. I'm not buying
Any close calls, Norman?
No, there isn't. I've had no close calls, thank goodness. But the danger for cyclists is lorries or buses turning left in front of you. That's where the deaths occur. And actually, to be honest with you, a helmet makes no difference in that situation. You're either OK or you're not.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound good. All right, should we move on? How about... we've done some salaries. What about Rachel Reeves? She said she'll take the boot off the neck of businesses. That was in her Mansion House speech
There will be a
last
lot
night.
of businesses who are saying that she's put her boot on the neck of businesses by putting on the national insurance hike and also this costly workers' rights package. Whenever I look at these things, it takes me back to my A-level economics and the wages, prices, spirals and all that sort of thing. And I mean, for many years, and Eamonn, I used to bang on about this when I was at GMTV, I can't understand why we can't simplify the tax rules in this land where you give people a reasonable amount to be able to subsist. So I don't know what you set it at, whatever £1,000, you put it at. And after that, you pay a flat rate of something reasonable, 17% or something like that, or 10%, whatever you decide, so that people then don't have to employ armies of accountants to try and work their way around the
Absolutely.
Such complicated tax systems. As for businesses, I mean, the problem is that I know it's not a popular view, but Brexit has added an awful lot of red tape to anybody doing business
Well, no,
elsewhere.
Brexit was meant to remove the red tape.
It was supposed to remove it, but it has merely added it.
Well, no, we've made our own, though. We've added extra stuff.
Well, it's both ways, but the point is that whichever way you look at it, there is more red tape for businesses, there are more issues for businesses. I mean, anything that you do that comes from or goes to abroad now has to come with a wad of paper, essentially this much paper for one tiny item.
We could simplify that.
We need to simplify everything, lower the rate for everybody, and also there is this thing about the national insurance hike is predominantly on people who employ other people. So people who give jobs to other people have to pay more.
They're being penalised.
They're being penalised, where the people who don't employ anybody and who are perhaps just manipulating money, they're getting away. They don't have to pay.
It's complicated. Why is it so complicated?
It does actually reflect on the employers.
It needn't be complicated, but the Treasury Green Book, or whatever it's called, adds pages and pages every single time. And of course, the more exemptions and the more rules and the more changes you bring in, then the more the specialist accountants can say, there's a little loophole there, and you end up with a kind of unravelling of what was intended in the first place. And it's really unfortunate. I have to say that every government I've ever been involved in or seen or witnessed talks about cutting red tape. They all say it. It never happens. It gets worse.
Because it's easier to just bung something else on. I do think it's a bit like my wardrobe. I open my wardrobe. I need to get rid of a few things so that I can squash in a few more things that I've just bought. But instead I think, well... Oh, my goodness, the effort with all that, having to look through, and you were saying they put another layer of red tape in the book or whatever. They need to just slice through that. But can you imagine? You just look at it and you just go, they just sprung another.
But that's because it's an industry, and if you did that, it's a bit like the immigration industry, which has a layer of lawyers and this and that. They need their jobs to be able to decipher it. But in the meantime, they still, apparently HMRC, are clueless about how many mega rich pay tax. They don't know how much billionaires pay in tax.
No, they don't know. This is a story in the Mirror. This is a report which has been produced by the Public Accounts Committee in the House of Commons, which says that revenue chiefs do not know how many billionaires pay tax in the UK or how much they contribute overall.
How can that be?
I know. How can it be? This is astonishing. It's astonishing they don't know. That's the first point. But also, if you're talking about potentially taxing the rich more, and there's certainly a campaign for that going on, then how can you make a judgment as to what's right and what's wrong if you don't know how many people are paying tax in the first place and what they're paying?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that brings us on to the morality of all of this. Now, in the Daily Telegraph, Norman, a priest has written a scathing poem blaming his unlikable, entitled parishioners for dwindling congregation numbers.
Well, I have to say, God moves mysterious ways. That's what occurs to me. I mean, look, you don't attack your parishioners. You can't attack your parishioners. If they don't turn up to church, then in a sense it's your problem. You've got to encourage them to come along. In the same way as if you're an MP, you don't blame the voters. I mean, the voters vote how they want to, and that's it. And you have to deal with it. You can't say you voted the wrong way, I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
Well, they did over Brexit, didn't they?
Well, there's no point attacking voters. There's no point attacking parishioners. So this priest has now disappeared and sent this parting shot in a poem. He's written a poem.
Oh, nice.
Well, it's not necessarily a very nice poem. But
Can you read it?
It isn't down here in the words, unfortunately, but he has written this poem, but I've forgotten the title of it now. It's down here somewhere.
The Unlikable... no, he has not said what it's called.
I've forgotten what it's called now, but anyway, he's written this. Father Brennan has disappeared off into the distance and left his parishioners without a priest.
It's like the Piper of Hamelin, but without...
So here's what I really
Penny,
think.
there's a grandfather who's so obsessed with something he's travelled around the world. What is he obsessed with?
I love this story. Do you know what? I love a manhole cover too. I'm sorry, I am the woman who I think I have something in common with Peter Sishton's love for street coverings, which is now sort of almost 10 years old. He hurt his back in southern France and could only look down whilst he was out walking, and he suddenly noticed how beautiful the manhole covers are. I've been like that forever, ever since I came down to London a while ago. I just walked along going, oh, that's a pretty one. I do there. Some of them are. I agree with him. They're works of art. Literally, yeah. I walk down, I look up at the tops of buildings because they're incredible, and I look down at manhole covers, and one day I'll be looking up at a building and I'll fall down a manhole cover that's been taken out. But yes, he's even written 2 books about them. One of them's called Heavy Metal.
Well, now that we're on the subject and I think about it, the thing that fascinates me about manhole covers are where they're made. So you'll suddenly see, you'll be in London or something, it'll say whatever of Aberdeen, and the manhole cover will be for there, and you'll think somebody has brought a manhole cover from Aberdeen to put it into London.
Yeah, probably on a cycle.
Yeah.
It is, but they're just, I just think they are extraordinary. He says, manhole covers changed my life.
I think there's a great deal of beauty around that people don't necessarily notice. And I was very lucky when I was Transport Minister to be able to be shown on the ground Balcombe Viaduct, which is a viaduct on the line from London to Brighton.
Right.
And the amount of detail that went into the Victorians designing the bits and pieces along the balustrade of the viaduct was astonishing. Nobody sees it because the train's too fast. Nobody sees it apart from the rail workers. Yeah. And it's actually gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And underneath there's a series of arches which takes you right through. It's very artistic. I think you've seen a picture.
Who would have thought we would have an appreciation society for manhole covers? You know,
and viaducts.
And viaducts. Yeah. And actually, just generally, those sort of things, that it was very much the Victorians, although it did happen before, but that Victorian eye for detail to make things pretty and attractive.
But also, Penny, quality. I always think it's as easy to do something at a high level and a quality aspect to it than design bad things and cheap things, awful things.
You're doing that thing that lots of people say, buy cheap, buy twice.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or expensive, or very expensive. Do you know that when the railway, this is a nerdy point from the railways, when the Great Western Railway narrowed its gauge, The whole thing, the whole region was done in a weekend by Brunel.
Isambard Kingdom, Brunel.
He changed the whole gauge in a weekend. And HS2, how long has it taken us to get nowhere with it?
75 years and counting.
OK. I've got to change you two. They're going to be back, though, in about 40 minutes. Here's the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers. Sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Now, for many, today is going to be drier than it was yesterday, but not everywhere. That's because there is a front across parts of the southwest. This is bringing more cloud here, even some outbreaks of rain, particularly across Devon and Cornwall, but some of that rain is likely to push into parts of Dorset, Somerset, maybe Wiltshire and the south of Wales as well. Elsewhere, and a few showers are quite likely across parts of southern Scotland, maybe northeastern England and down the eastern side. Otherwise, though, it's looking largely dry, decent amount of sunshine, and with that sunshine, temperatures rising. It's going to be a bit warmer than yesterday, highs of around 26, 27, possibly 28 Celsius. Then as we go through into this evening, still a few showers dotted around across some central southern parts of Scotland, but a fine end to the day across many northern parts and towards Aberdeenshire as well in the east. Also largely fine across Northern Ireland, a decent amount of sunshine here, and for many parts of northern England, central eastern England and North Wales, just one or two showers perhaps. But still in the southwest, it is going to be quite cloudy and there's more rain to come. None of it especially heavy for the time being, but as we go overnight, more wet weather feeds its way into western areas, so across parts of Wales and across Northern Ireland, and it's here where we're likely to see some relatively intense rain, could even start to turn a bit thundery. Similar to last night, it's not going to be especially chilly. Temperatures for many holding up in double figures, some places only falling to around 17 or 18 Celsius, so pretty warm indeed. And then as we go through tomorrow, quite wet across some western parts. Like I said, it's across Northern Ireland where we're going to have the heaviest, most intense rain, potential for some high rainfall totals and some thundery downpours. Some of that wet weather pushing into parts of Scotland and down the western side of England and Wales as well. Staying drier though towards the east, and temperatures, if anything, a little bit higher than today.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps. Sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M8 westbound at junction 16 is slow due to a broken down vehicle. In Worcestershire, an overturned vehicle affects one lane on the M42 northbound entry slip at junction 1. Commuters in London face congestion on the M25 anti-clockwise between junction 30 and junction 28, causing 40-minute delays. Along the M48 eastbound Severn Bridge, roadworks have closures with diversions, and on the trains, Chiltern Railways is disrupted at Harrow-on-the-Hill, while cross-country services are affected between Reading and Basingstoke and Derby and Burton-on-Trent. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
The biggest data leak in Britain's history.
The lives of up to 100,000 Afghans put at risk, and an unprecedented super injunction to stop all reporting.
Well, at a cost of £850 million and almost 7,000 more asylum seekers, is this the most expensive mistake in British history? Your comments welcome.
Serious data incident should never have happened. It may have occurred 3 years ago under the previous government, but to all those whose information was compromised, I offer a sincere apology today on behalf of the British government.
Now, earlier we spoke to the Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride, that's the Defence Secretary. We were speaking to him live here on the programme after 9 o'clock. Mel Stride.
When this data was leaked, which was a terrible error on the part of the Ministry of Defence and should never ever happen again. It's extraordinary it happened in the first place, but it did place at risk tens of thousands of Afghans who had, in many cases, bravely assisted us.
Yes, thousands of Afghans put in danger, a huge cost to the British taxpayer and an unprecedented cover-up. Yet we don't know if anybody has even been fired.
Breaking news, inflation rose by 0.2% in June to 3.6%, a big blow to Chancellor Rachel Reeves' fiscal plans.
Yeah, but a small increase. Rachel Reeves talks tough, though, at her Mansion House speech. But will the markets play ball?
Regulators in other sectors must take up the call that I make this evening, not to bend to the temptation of excessive caution, but to boldly regulate for growth.
MasterChef's John Turode is sacked by the BBC as the former presenter releases his own version of events.
And the schoolgirl who made headlines yesterday after teachers forced her out of the classroom for wearing a Union Jack dress has spoken to us.
Me not being allowed to read my speech, it's really upset me and it's embarrassed me as well, because I've prepared it and I really wanted to share it to my school.
The Open gets underway at Royal Portrush just 24 hours from now, with golfing legend Nick Faldo believing Rory McIlroy still has more to achieve if he's to be remembered as Europe's greatest of all time. And we'll hear about Manchester City's £1 billion kit deal.
It's a drier and warmer day for many, but not everywhere. That's because there is some rain pushing into parts of the southwest. I'll have the details coming up.
Wednesday morning. Good morning to you from me, Eamonn Holmes.
And me, Nana Akweer. This is GB News Breakfast.
Well, and potentially one of the biggest scandals of recent history. The government's been running a secret evacuation and resettlement scheme for thousands of Afghans.
And that is after up to 100,000 lives, including those who served alongside the British military, were put at risk by the Ministry of Defence following a major data breach.
Well, in an attempt to keep this scandal hidden for years, the previous Conservative government used an unprecedented super injunction to stop it being reported.
Defence Secretary John Healey apologised to those affected as it revealed the total cost could exceed £7 billion.
Mr. Speaker, this serious data incident should never have happened. It may have occurred 3 years ago under the previous government, but to all those whose information was compromised, I offer a sincere apology today on behalf of the British government.
Now, that was the Defence Secretary, and he's here to talk about, not the Defence Secretary, he's here after 9 o'clock. But we can now cross live to central London, and we've got the Liberal Democrat leader, Ed Davey, who's here to talk about other things, net zero being the principal thing there, Ed, for you. But first of all, I'd like a comment from you, if you could, about this migrant cover-up here and what's going on here, and the cost that this could run into in the future, and the safety of these people, and how this data breach actually occurred. What's your assessment, Ed?
Well, I think, like everyone else, I'm outraged. It's a total incompetence by the last government. If you remember, go back to when they, with President Biden, took troops out of Afghanistan, that shocking retreat from Kabul, which was bad for the British Army, but it was also bad for those Afghans who'd fought alongside our troops, who'd been translators for our troops, and we owed them a duty. But instead of that, the government made this huge mistake. Someone in the Ministry of Defence made this huge mistake and put lives at risk. I'm waiting to see an apology. Who did it? Who's taking the rap for that? But then we had this super injunction brought in by the Conservatives to cover it all up. Now, there might have been a justification for a little bit to protect the lives of Afghans and their families, people who'd fought side by side with British troops. But the real question, I think, is really disturbing many people in Westminster, is how long that super injunction was kept. Who was it protecting? I mean, I think by the end of it, it was protecting ministers, not Afghans.
Ed, I want to ask you about your big speech, all about setting out your new plan to slash energy bills. Can you give us a little bit of a summary as to how you intend to do that?
Yeah, if we're going to help people who are being hit by high energy bills, families and pensioners as well as businesses, to help them with the cost of living to grow our economy, we've got to make cutting energy bills a top priority. So I'm putting forward today some ideas of how we can cut it in this Parliament, and over the next 10 years slash energy bills by at least half. This is possible. We've got a great solution here. We've got to, for example, move away from old ways of subsidised renewables to new ways that Liberal Democrats brought in, which have been copied the world over because they're so successful in, yes, getting that investment, but keeping prices down for consumers. So I'm quite excited about these proposals. I hope the government will take them up.
Well, Ed, I'm going to be fascinated to hear this, because the whole big thing, Ed, is heading towards net zero. It's increased costs for people. It's increased inconvenience. And whilst lots of people may agree with the sentiment of net zero, they're really worried about paying for it.
Well, I'm not talking about net zero here. I'm talking about getting cheaper energy bills. And energy bills at the moment are set by gas prices, not renewables. It's gas prices that have been so high because President Putin invaded Ukraine. That's really caused it. I think we all know that. And it hits people twice, It hits them in their heating bills, which are largely gas for most people, but it also hits them in their electricity bills, because the price of electricity is set by gas, not by renewables. Renewables are much cheaper than gas, but the way the system operates at the moment,
they're not really.
Is that gas is high price.
Ed, sorry, you said they're cheaper. I'm just asking you, how much then does the UK subsidise renewable electricity or renewable energy? We did because there's a lot of subsidy going into there, isn't there? So roughly how much does that cost us a year?
Yeah, well, what I'm proposing is we phase out the old-fashioned subsidies, which were expensive, right? No doubt about that. But phase them out, and that will save, if you take on my approach, the average household £200 a year. So that would reduce some of the cost of the subsidies. But we've got to be frank with people. It's not renewables that are setting the price of your electricity, it's gas. Gas is the thing that's causing the problem. And when I listen to people like Nigel Farage complaining about the high price of energy, he blames it on renewables and isn't honest with people. He isn't honest that actually it's the high price of gas that's caused the cost of living problem. And he comes on programs like yours, he tells you the problem, he doesn't have a solution. His solution would actually play into the hands of his friend Vladimir Putin. That's what Liberal Democrats are interested in the problems that people have out there, that the cost of living, and we're interested in what is good for Britain. I'm afraid Nigel Farage, in the way he comes and pretends he has a solution, he's more interested in what's good for Vladimir Putin. Liberal Democrats aren't.
Under your scheme, you would get rid of oil and gas in the UK, yes? So you would no more new oil and gas wells or anything like that. How would that not be playing into the hands of Vladimir Putin? Surely you'd want to keep your own natural resources until eventually they run out. There's no harm in setting up other forms of energy, but why would you, under your scheme, you'd be getting rid of oil and gas? So how is that not playing into Vladimir Putin's hands?
No, you've got to, I'm afraid it's a little more complicated than that. You've got to invest in alternatives first, and that's what we're talking about. You've got to make sure you've got the cheapest form of energy for people. People are suffering too much. Businesses are paying too high a price for their energy. You've got to get that down. And when you look around the world, just look at the facts. Clean energy, solar energy, wind energy is a lot cheaper, even when you account for the fact that sometimes you have to have backup power when the wind isn't blowing, the sun isn't shining. Renewables are now much cheaper. The problem is the way the Conservatives left the market. It's not the renewables setting the price, which is leading to the high bills. It's the gas setting the price. That's the key insight. It's something that Nigel Farage won't admit, the Conservatives didn't deal with. Labour, frankly, is being pretty weak on it. It needs to go further, faster. And it's only the Liberal Democrats coming up with practical solutions to get people's energy bills down.
And one way of getting those energy bills down, Ed, is getting inflation down. Figures published today, small increase, 0.2%, but overall we're sitting on 3.6%. So inflation's high, everything else goes up as a result. What would you do to fix inflation?
Inflation is a real worry for people. When you hear government ministers say everything's rosy and the Conservatives, that it was all rosy under them, and it's clearly not true. And we're seeing in the figures today, it's stubbornly high. So we've got to do a number of things. I mean, doing the energy bills that we're talking about today would be a big difference. Energy bills are a real big part of the reason why inflation is so high, and so some of the things I've talked about just now would really help. But here's something. I think we need to do more trade. Trade gets prices down. It's good for consumers, it's good for growth, good for the economy, good for people's incomes. And trade has been falling, particularly with our European neighbours. It's one of the reasons why the Liberal Democrats have said we need a new bespoke, especially for the UK, EU customs union, so we can get rid of the red tape and the costs and delays brought in by Boris Johnson. That is the way that we could also get people's bills down.
All right, can I just sneak this one in? Because water bosses are blaming sewage leaks on too much rain. What would you do with water companies?
How do they get away? How do they say these things? I mean, blaming the rain for their failures is just outrageous, isn't it? It's been the Liberal Democrats leading the debate the last few years to tackle these water bosses and these water companies who frankly got away with it. The last government was hopeless. The regulators have been hopeless. We've been putting forward quite system-changing ideas about how we change the industry, get a much tougher regulator to stop all this. We've said Ofwat should be abolished and bring in something called the Clean Water Authority, which brings together both the old powers of Ofwat, but bigger, tougher powers from organisations like the Environment Agency, the Drinking Water Inspectorate, so we get clean water at an affordable price. They have that in other countries. We can have that here, and I'm really proud that the Liberal Democrats have led on this issue. We'll continue to lead until the government gets its act together.
All right, just a yes or no, would you privatise water?
It's already privatised. What we've said in the case of Thames Water, there's a very...
But would you keep it privatised, or would you put it in public ownership?
We wouldn't do either. We'd put it in what we call public benefit companies, which are mutuals. You see these in some states in the United States. It's a bit like it in Wales, and that means you can. It doesn't fall on the taxpayer. I mean, we're already paying too much in tax, but it means that these companies can operate commercially, but they, in their rules of that organisation, they have to put in priority. Things like the environment and public health, so sewage is tackled, the water leaks are tackled. So I think neither of those old-style ways of doing it are right. We've come up with a different idea, borrowing from best practice elsewhere in the world, and I think it could make a big difference.
Ed, got to say goodbye to you. Thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. Ed Davey, thank you. Catherine Foster, our political correspondent, was listening to all of that with us. And I suppose the big problem, the big question today is this cover-up, this Afghan migrant cover-up.
It's almost beyond belief. If it was the plot of a movie, you possibly would think it was too far-fetched. But just to quickly recap, what happened was in February 22, a Royal Marine inadvertently leaked a database of about 33,000 names of Afghans that had helped the British government. Subsequent to that, somebody that had got hold of it threatened to publish it. We didn't know anything about any of it because September 2023, a super injunction was granted. We've never had anything like this in Britain before for this type of thing. So nobody was allowed to know about it, no reporting of it, and that was lifted yesterday. A huge amount of blame to go round. First of all, thousands of Afghans put in danger. Now, there's been very many different figures, up to 100,000 we've heard. The MOD this morning have told GB News that up to 6.9 thousand additional Afghans will be coming or have come to the UK because of this data leak. The MOD have also said that the total cost will be £850 million. We had heard figures of up to 7 billion. So danger to Afghans, huge cost to the British taxpayer, and then the cover-up. Now, the government's argument about the super injunction is it was necessary for protecting these Afghans, which I think is fair enough to a point. But it's been lifted now because John Heatley, the new Defence Secretary, ordered a review. They've decided that it should be lifted. But we don't know if anybody has actually lost their job for this. The government are not saying. It seems like the Royal Marine concerned is working elsewhere. Ultimately, I suspect the buck stops rather higher than that. His sort of boss of head of special forces is now the head of the Navy. The government says they have confidence in him. So we don't really know what action has been taken. It's very expensive. Lives have been put in danger, and democracy has been sort of skirted for a couple of years in that MPs didn't have that normal scrutiny role, and nor did the press. So very, very worrying. And as Davey just said, who is taking the rap? We still don't know.
Catherine, thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, let's have a look at some of the other stories coming into the newsroom.
Former MasterChef presenter John Turode has spoken out after the BBC confirmed his contract will not be renewed.
Taking to Instagram, Turode said that he would be watching the next series from afar and that he's loved every minute of his time on the programme. All of this comes after the BBC Director General Tim Davie condemned the TV chef for allegedly using a racist term on set.
The two men who cut down the world-famous Sycamore Gap tree have been sentenced. Daniel Graham and Adam Carruthers were handed 4 years and 3 months in prison each. They have to listen to the judge's remarks. Here's what she had to say.
To Daniel Graham, Mr. Adam Carruthers, I pass the same sentence in respect of you. The sentence is, on count 1, 4 years and 3 months imprisonment. On count 2, 6 months imprisonment, but to be served concurrently with the sentence on count 1.
Manchester City Council has been forced to place steel fences outside Heaton Park in a bid to stop fans without tickets catching a glimpse of the Oasis reunion tour. And that is after crowds gathered on the nearby hill that fans are calling Gallagher Hill. Liam and Noel Gallagher are set to perform tonight, with 2 more performances over the weekend.
Let's take a breather, and if you're going to head outside, this is what it's going to be like.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Now, for many, today is going to be drier than it was yesterday, but not everywhere. That's because there is a front across parts of the southwest. This is bringing more cloud here, even some outbreaks of rain, particularly across Devon and Cornwall, but some of that rain is likely to push into parts of Dorset, Somerset, maybe Wiltshire and the south of Wales as well. Elsewhere, and a few showers are quite likely across parts of southern Scotland, maybe northern, northeastern England and down the eastern side. Otherwise, though, it's looking largely dry, decent amount of sunshine, and with that sunshine, temperatures rising. It's going to be a bit warmer than yesterday, highs of around 26, 27, possibly 28 Celsius. Then as we go through into this evening, still a few showers dotted around across some central southern parts of Scotland, but a fine end to the day across many northern parts and towards Aberdeenshire as well in the east. Also largely fine across Northern Ireland, a decent amount of sunshine here, and for many parts of northern England, central eastern England and North Wales, just one or two showers perhaps. But still in the southwest it is going to be quite cloudy and there's more rain to come. None of it especially heavy for the time being, but as we go overnight, more wet weather feeds its way into western areas, so across parts of Wales and across Northern Ireland, and it's here where we're likely to see some relatively intense rain, could even start to turn a bit thundery. Similar to last night, it's not going to be especially chilly. Temperatures for many holding up in double figures, some places only falling to around 17 or 18 Celsius, so pretty warm indeed. And then as we go through tomorrow, quite wet across some western parts. Like I said, it's across Northern Ireland where we're going to have the heaviest, most intense rain, potential for some high rainfall totals and some thundery downpours. Some of that wet weather pushing into parts of Scotland and down the western side of England and Wales as well. Staying drier though towards the east, and temperatures, if anything, a little bit higher than today.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Right, well, there's still plenty of time to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize so far, an incredible £54,321. Here are the details that you need.
This is your chance to enjoy luxury this summer. It's our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. What would you do with that? With all of that cash, you could just chill out, treat yourself and indulge in the finer things in life, somewhere like here, Downhall Hotel and Spa. You really could win the cash giveaway of the summer. Go on, treat yourself.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain's newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
An amber heat alert remains in place across all of England until Monday morning.
Well, joining us now, GB News reporter Jack Carson. Jack Carson, where are you? Tell us. Oh, he's rowing. Jack Carson, what a go on?
Good morning. Good morning. Well, we're in the beautiful Stratford-upon-Avon, so we were on the big wheel earlier on, and one of the other beautiful things you can do is also row on the river as well. This is the Avon Boating Club. This has been going since the 1800s, 1898 it started. This boat over here on the right, that was bought brand new all the way back in the day, so it's historic here, and a lot of these boats are from the likes of the 1930s as well, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And it's this beautiful sunny weather. Here we are on the river. I've never rowed in my life before, but I think I've got the hang of it okay. But let's have a listen to a few of the people we've spoken to this morning about how they're enjoying the weather today.
Yesterday, I did start to think, right, I'm getting a bit sweaty and hot now, so yeah, but it's nice, isn't it? As long as there's a breeze, it's not too bad.
Can't beat it. Literally the best thing ever. Yay!
They make the most of it because the winter was terrible this year with all the rain, so this is payback.
It makes us feel better, doesn't it? Bit of sun on our bones. It really does.
Enjoying the weather, Will? Nice? Sunny? Chatty? Well, there you go. That's what some people have been saying to us this morning about how they're enjoying the weather. I think I've got myself into a bit of a pickle. Hopefully we're not going to capsize. I think other people might be a bit more experienced in the rowing.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, back to our top story now. The Ministry of Defence data breach of some 25,000 Afghans' personal information is still making the headlines.
It is, but what actually led to this breach? Why were so many Afghans looking to claim asylum here in Britain? Who better than to run us through all of this than the defence editor for the Evening Standard, Robert Fox. Robert, did this come as a surprise to you, Robert, or were you always aware that a number of people were being protected?
I was aware that a number of people were to be protected. I was not convinced that all that should have been protected were being protected. And there are still, we're confused not only by the presence of this enormous super injunction, the longest in judicial history, 683 days, but the fact we know so little about what is going on the ground now in Afghanistan. And if these vulnerable people have been picked up, killed, tortured, blackmailed because of their association with British and Allied forces. But it was clear when things were winding down, and it took a wind down of very nearly 10 years, think of it, when they knew that the British were leaving around 2012, they got out in 2021, that these kinds of people, interpreters, guides, drivers, I worked with a great deal, for example, were going to be extremely vulnerable. They were people who were known to associate with internationals. They had foreign languages. And the Taliban intelligence, in a way, is a paradox. In a way, it was very, very bad. It was very folksy. They don't like things like computers and internet. It's against their culture. But on the other hand, their insurgency was backed by a highly sophisticated intelligence operation coming out of the Pakistan Inter-Service Intelligence Agency, the infamous ISI. So we knew that things were vulnerable. I knew of the injunction, but not the outline. And a great colleague, and for 2 or 3 great colleagues and friends, particularly Larissa Brown of The Times, absolutely caught the blunt end of this. And she was heroic, amongst others, but really was very much the leader in getting this thing lifted. And by the way, I think Ben Wallace's account and Healy's account of why the injunction was lifted is, to put it like this, economical with the truth. It was a very brave judge who was saying, up with this I will not put. It's against the principles of democracy and scrutiny, and the public should know why this has been so obfuscated.
Or it could have been just very stupid on behalf of the judge, because when you look at the safety of these people, surely that is paramount.
Well, I don't think we could accuse Justice Chamberlain of stupidity, given what was put on his plate. Because, but Eamonn, you're right. the statements yesterday from various arms of the government were so contradictory and conflicting. It's very, very difficult to know what was going on. Justice Chamberlain was told, there was a report by the former civil servant who was asked to look into this, Paul Rimmer, who said, oh, I don't think too many people are at danger. I don't think that the Taliban are really up to finding out about this. We've sort of made inquiries. I would like to know how that he could be so absolutely confident that this kind of safety would be breached almost in a moment. Because remember, the Afghan information world lives on rumour. It's a gossip world.
Living on leaks is why we're knowing all of this at the moment. Where do you stand, Robert, on finding out or making someone accountable for the information that went astray?
I think we know what happened. The guy is unfortunate. He thought he was filing a list of 150 extra applicants in the emergency rescue scheme. He put out a list of nearly 30,000, and this is how you get the number. 30,000 had contacts which could lead up to 100,000. And of course, as Larissa found, that there were hints and gossips because she was writing a book about a refugee family from Afghanistan. She was on maternity leave. She found out that there was some very, very loose chatter on Facebook with a potential of blackmail. So where I'm going, yeah, we know who the guy is. Yeah, it doesn't matter so much as the chain of command. It doesn't matter so much as the whole mess of Afghanistan, in which I think too many people have got away with not putting their hand off as to how Britain, with its allies, got into such a disastrous policy.
So can I just say, so this injunction, just to be clear to our listeners and viewers, was to stop people finding out that the data had been leaked. Is that correct?
The injunction was, yes, that the data leak and the list of those on the mission, the existence of the list. The honourable side of it is that they didn't want the list to get out. The rather questionable side, I think, as Eamonn has been hinting, a heck of a lot of this is pure politics. And the fact is that a lot of the protagonists, I'm afraid, Mr. Healy, Sir Ben Wallace, Johnny Mercer, what are they in the end? Politicians.
But exposing the fact that it's been leaked doesn't really help us or the people whose information would have been on there. Surely it was wise to protect those names and what had happened, because now we all know about it, and if you didn't know about it, you do now, and if the Taliban weren't bothered about it, they will be now. I don't really see the benefit of, opening up that and giving everybody this information. Do you?
I'm sorry, I want to be quite polite. That's a long line of conjecture, isn't it? And why? Well, you might as well suppress anything. I think people like Larissa, Jerome Starkey, the late Kim Sen-Gupta, who was absolutely heroic, they were extremely worried that a lot of these Afghans that we knew, we had worked with, had been vital in liaison, had been trained by the Brits very successfully in some parts of the special forces of the Afghan forces, were extremely vulnerable. And unless we raised the questions, which of course weren't being raised in Parliament, it's not clear that this was conclusive. And by the way, I think your judgment about the Taliban, I think that's a very open question. It's very difficult to know how effective they are, how vindictive they are, and how good, as I was saying, their intelligence is. Their intelligence service would not work particularly on the way that MI5, MI6, the SAS work, but they do have lists. They do know who was doing what, and village by village. But it's an urban-rural society, and even the towns are conglomerates of villages and tribes. They know who did what and who would have worked with whom. And I think it's still a very open and very worrying question, because, of course, the reputation of British forces is on the line there. You work with the Brits in the future, do be careful.
Right,
that somebody doesn't press the wrong button on the computer.
Thank you. Got to leave it there. Thank you so much for your analysis. Always appreciated. Thank you very much indeed. 8:33 is now the time. Here's the travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M8 westbound at junction 16, traffic is restricted due to a broken down vehicle. Please exercise caution. The M48 eastbound Severn Bridge is closed with diversions due to roadworks. Traffic on the M25 anti-clockwise between junction 30 and 28 is congested, adding 30 minutes to your journey. In Nottinghamshire, a road traffic collision on the A1 northbound with lanes closed is expected to clear by 10:45 this morning. And on the trains, there are disruptions affecting Chiltern Railways between London Marylebone and Amersham, and cross-country services between Reading and Basingstoke. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Up next, Ed and McGee here look ahead to the Open, which starts in Portrush tomorrow after this.
Excuse me.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good morning, 8:37. It's time to go through all of the latest sports with broadcaster Aidan McGee, who joins us now.
Will somebody take his description as broadcaster? I know what I'd call you. A different one.
Let's keep that off sport.
It's not as if you've just come in off the street. You're qualified. He's a broadcaster.
I did come off the street, though. But look, I want to talk about the Open, because it'll be underway this time tomorrow.
I wish I was going to be there.
You've been before, haven't you?
Nope. I've played the course, but I've never been there.
Has it not been in Portrush before? They had the Irish Open there, didn't they?
Yes, but I've never been for the Open at Portrush before.
Yeah, but it's not. I was saying, has the Open been at Portrush?
No, I've been at no tournaments at Portrush.
No, okay, fair enough. So, glad we got that cleared up. So anyway, Porrick Harrington will be underway this time tomorrow. Rory McIlroy, 3:10 tomorrow. Interesting comments from the world number one, because I think we've all felt like this from time to time. He says that he's a bit cheesed off with golf. It doesn't give him fulfilment. This is a bloke who, by the way, has won £65 million in that's just prize money.
Who's that? Project Harrington?
Scotty Scheffler.
OK.
£65 million in prize money. That's not including endorsements. As world number one, you can probably add another half of that again in endorsements. His overall wealth will be around about £100 million. He spent 112 consecutive weeks as the world number one. But he said, look, if it interferes with his family life, he's going to quit. And he says, this is not a fulfilling life. He said, it's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from the sense of the deepest places of your heart. Not sure quite what he means by that.
I think I know what he's saying.
Go on, what do you think?
Well, he's just saying that, you know, you have to distance yourself from your family and those things that mean the most to you in search of this supposed dream, and it ain't worth it.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that, because it's an individual sport. Now, look, they travel around with big groups these days, right? But if I can get it back to tennis, I remember about 20, 30 odd years ago, I knew a guy who covered tennis all over the world, and he went to an event in Dubai, and he saw Steffi Graf, who he wasn't aware actually who knew who he was, would have known who he was. And she came up to him and threw his arms around him because she was just glad to see someone that she'd recognised. She was lonely.
Of course you are. That's exactly... When you're at the top, Aidan, when you get there, you'll find it's so lonely.
I know. Well, I'd rather not, actually. But, look, I mean, I think... let's look at Rory McIlroy. I think he's got something to prove. So soon after winning the Masters as well. He hasn't performed well in the last two majors. But I think Eamonn will be under pressure in Ireland, at his home course, to do something special here. He's already won the Grand Slam. Nick Faldo has been saying that if he wants to be truly special and remembered as Europe's greatest ever player, he needs to have the impact on golf that the great Seve Ballesteros has, and that comes in more than just winning trophies and winning prize money.
Can I just ask, what's happened to Tiger Woods? Is he out of the scene now?
Yeah, he's been suffering injuries. Look, he's got 15 majors to his name. I think he's just about repaired his reputation after what happened with the car crash way back in 2008. It was a hell of a route back for him. But you know what? The reason the prize money is so high for these guys and the Open and golf in general enjoys such exalted status is because of Tiger Woods, I would argue, because he just set the standard so high that the sponsors wanted a piece of him, and the overall pot just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and the golfers love sharing it.
I think your microphone's not switched on. Would you just check that it is?
Hello?
No, we just checked the battery thing inside. Is it on?
Like he's on?
Yeah, he's on. He's on.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So I'll shut up then for now.
We have to pretend that we're moving on, not mention there's something wrong with your mic. So there we go.
They did say don't mention the mic, for goodness sake.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Nobody mentioned the mic, so it's fine. Thank you, Aidan. Right, still to come, making the news with Penny Smith and Norman Baker. But if you're in search of some holiday sun, there they are. Look at them, looking cheery. Here's the forecast of some of the top European destinations.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
There's the risk of some more heavy, thundery downpours affecting eastern parts of Europe as we go through the rest of this week. But across western areas towards the Canary Islands, Madeira, across much of Spain and Portugal, it's largely fine on Thursday. Decent amount of sunshine and feeling very warm or hot in that sunshine as well. Some showery rain likely across much of Italy, drier towards the south, but across parts of Greece, Turkey, there will be a fair few showers on offer. A drier theme for many through the end of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Britain's newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
Well, we have found some peacocks, so we've been speaking to people today, hearing from them how much of a nuisance they say they are. It is a real mix, though, here. Some people saying that actually they're all right, they're part of the furniture of this village now. You can see this peacock here showing all of its feathers. I'm going to be very honest with you, we have just seen it attempt to mate the peahen that you can see behind it there. And this showing of feathers is part of the thing, what they do to part of the mating call here as well, to try and show all of the feathers off and everything like that. And there's a thing that they do train rattling as well. I wonder if Mr. Peacock might talk to us. Mr. Peacock, would you?
Come on, Jack. Come on, Jack. We need you to get involved.
Not sure. GB News, Jack
This
Carson?
is your big David Attenborough moment, Jack.
Any questions to say to the nuisance you might be causing people? Any response?
Although this feels a little bit intimate now, if there's a bit of a moment going on. It's all got a bit voyeuristic.
Very happy to talk to us so far this morning, but some residents of Tutbury here have spoken to us this morning. Take a listen to what they've told us about what they think about all these peacocks.
They've been here longer than I have, so I've lived in the house I live in at the top here 47 years. They've been there all that time, because they were from the castle to start with. The people at the castle used to have them, and they're just part of the village.
I hate them. When they do all that damage, it's heartbreaking, you know. Yeah, round them up and take them to a farm or a zoo, where they're supposed to be.
They're like the furniture. They should stay around here. You know, people just need to let them get on with what they are. They're nature's animals, and they deserve to live around here, don't they?
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Around at the moment.
Right, joining us now to go through what's making the news is former Liberal Democrat Minister Norman Baker, alongside journalist and broadcaster Penny Smith. Listen, Penny, this is really, really sad, but a lot of vegans need to listen to this because animals can apparently detect noises made by distressed plants.
Yes, exactly. This is made. The noise is made by plants when they're ill or under attack, not audible to humans, but detected by animals. So what happens is that it's not, they're saying here quite clearly, it's not a sign that plants are sentient. They're created by the physical processes as their condition changes or deteriorates. But what happens is, so animals can hear that, and so they go, right, a female moth, for example, will go, ooh, I'm going to avoid that plant that's in stress. I'm going to plant it on I'm going to go and pop my eggs over here. Sorry, that's like sort of like the fridge, isn't it? Moth opening the fridge door and going, OK, I'll put them in the wall.
I get this totally. This is like the way Prince Charles would have hugged trees and whatever.
Yeah.
And now they put microphones on trees and they realise they do make noises and they do make sounds.
And they connect to themselves with their roots, and they actually sort of, send out things saying, by the way, we're under attack. You might want to actually, I'm not sure move. I don't think like the Ents in the Lord of the Rings, but they certainly can do something to try to stave off
And also, animals talk to other animals, and we just haven't got into what the language is. But one day we'll be like Dr. Dolittle, will be, and I think that we will be able to communicate.
Possibly AI might be able to help us out with that as well, by learning how the animals react to things and kind of understanding them.
But it's interesting, for example, with earthquakes. That they've now worked out that snakes, for example, know that an earthquake's happening way before anything that we detect.
And on the subject of snakes...
That's a link, thank you very much. Yes. This is a story on page 9 of the Daily Star today, the Great Snake Escape. And Britons have been warned to be aware of a surge in escaped snakes this summer. God. These are people who have snakes as pets, and they're all escaping, apparently. A lot of them are escaping. And the RSPCA has said that an increasing number of reptiles are on the loose. So there you are. So when you're out there, it's not simply the grass snakes which are harmless or the adders which run away from you. It's all the nasty snakes which don't come from this country.
Well, when you say nasty, they can be beautiful, like pythons.
Well, you might think they're pythons. I don't think they're beautiful.
Have you seen a snake in real life? I mean,
I've seen it attacking someone. I did a thing. I was being Britney Spears, and I had a big yellow snake around my neck, and I do like a snake. I like the way that they.
Was it alive? It was living. It was a living snake.
No, just bought this dead snake. No, it was a live one, and I liked the way that they touch it with their tongue.
Yeah.
Really testing.
No, thank you very much.
Yeah,
no,
snakes myself.
You see, well, in Ireland we don't have snakes.
Don't you have snakes at all?
No snakes.
I bet you got some escaping ones though.
Well, St Patrick got rid of them all, you see, so there's nothing there.
Yes, did he, or were they not there in the first place? She'll never know.
No, I love this, Gen Z and the millennials. Walkmans are back. I can remember my Walkman. It was a recordable Walkman, and I recorded all my English literature on there, and I did all the accents of the different characters and different voices. This was the noblest Roman of them all. Save only he did what he did. And I had a key of all the different accents. All right, Ecto Brutus, then fool, Caesar. You know what I mean? So everyone had a different accent. And I used to listen to the whole thing, and it would send me to sleep. Nothing like your own voice to send you to sleep. But that's how I learnt my English literature on my recordable Walkman.
I think it's hardly surprising, because if you've only got digital things, you don't own anything, do you? And consequently, you're constantly getting annoyed with the fact that, I don't know, the Wi-Fi doesn't work, or this doesn't connect, or that they're trying to get money, and also that they want you to, you can't leave it to anybody, because once you've gone, you know, it just disappears into the ether. So it's all about Gen Z going, do you know what? I want to own something. I want to own something that's physical, that I can have right there.
A bit like my record collection. I don't listen to music online. I listen to it. I get out my records and put them on the deck and play them. And the satisfaction of getting a bit of vinyl out, looking at the cover and so on.
They'll learn the problem with tapes, though. Do you remember on a cassette when it started to come out, and then you'd be like, oh no, my favourites.
I know.
Not to mention 8 tracks, if you remember 8 tracks.
I remember
I
that as well. I used to edit on
those as well.
Revox.
Yeah.
Can we
heavy stuff on the front of the Financial Times, and President Trump, Norman, it's been reported here that he has privately encouraged President Zelensky to hit Russia with missiles, get into Russia, strike into Russia. He wants to know what's the possibility of being able to target and hit Moscow.
And St. Petersburg. I mean, this is extraordinary. I mean, extraordinary for a number of reasons. I mean, talking about upping the ante, but it's also extraordinary because Trump seems to vary wildly from being pro-Putin to being anti-Putin, you know, within a matter of 24 hours. The guy is completely unpredictable. But he has said, Zelensky's apparently said to him, well, you give us the weapons and we'll do it. But Trump is encouraging, according to the story in the FT, and the FT is a reliable paper, encouraging Zelensky to launch missiles at Moscow and St. Petersburg in retaliation for the damage which the Russians are doing in Kiev.
Do you think that's fair enough?
I'm not sure about fair enough, but I mean, the thing is that... The thing that I would say is that the President of the United States does have a habit of saying one thing and then doing another, and vice versa, and sort of vacillating between them, being supportive of one side and then the other, and then he gets annoyed about various things. I mean, nobody can ever forget the conversation that he had when he was just annoyed with Zelensky because he didn't think he showed enough respect. And... you know, the things have to be delivered before they can actually do it.
They do. But you think about the international consequences of American missiles hitting Moscow and St. Petersburg. I mean, this raises the situation quite dramatically.
But why should Ukraine be, you know, handcuffed in that manner where they can't do that? If Russia won't stop and they're not prepared to go for peace and everyone's trying to broker some sort of peace deal, then in the end, the terms of the agreement... Remember, Russia was signatory to the Budapest Memorandum where they were going to protect Ukraine.
Yes, they were.
So they've reached their contract full stop. They actually have no right to be making any demands.
That's true, except that what the Americans could do is switch off the economic system that supports Russia, which they haven't done.
Yeah, but what about China? They've got China and other nations like maybe Iran who will assist anyway.
Yeah, well, the Americans could have sanctions, which we're talking about, secondary sanctions on these countries. Say, if you take Russian oil, we're going to put sanctions on you. The Americans could do far more economically than they're doing.
I don't know. I don't know whether they'll all buy it because I think they're all in it together. You know, there's a lot of money in arms sales.
There are, I'm afraid.
I don't think that's going to work out.
Can I talk about crisps?
Please.
This is following from the Walkmans and the nostalgic view. We've now got something called, well, salt and batteries are heading in the Daily Star for this. And this is the idea we're going to have nostalgia, apparently, from having crisps which are 9-volt battery flavour. So if you went around in the old days licking batteries, then you get a...
Which you have confessed
Well, I confessed it once when I was about 12 years old. It wasn't very attractive.
And what happened, and what did it taste
I got a bit of a sting on my tongue.
Right.
But apparently this is very popular to do this, and they're bringing in these 9-volt battery crisps, or revolting batteries, as I would call them.
Oh, very good. I
Revolting
think it's
crisps.
irresponsible, actually, of them.
Well, we're not
Quite
supposed to be... I mean, I
irresponsible.
would say, surely, should we not at this point say you perhaps shouldn't we go around licking batteries?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? There'll be some silly fools
But someone's
who'll
going to buy
try
these.
it, like
Someone's
you.
going to buy these crisps and eat them. You're going to buy some, Eamonn? Some
No, I can't
crisps.
think. It doesn't attract me really in any way. I love crisps, and I've decided smoky bacon are my favourite flavour ever
really?
in the history. Yeah.
What's yours?
Every salt and vinegar, every time.
Oh, I can't bear that.
No,
It's
and
bad
I
on the
salt and
tongue.
vinegar.
love salt and vinegar. Well, I think it's probably better than licking a Coke
I'll
around
cheese
having
and
a
onion
battery.
rather than battery
No,
flavour.
cheese and onion.
I think
My
bacon
goodness, you
for
can
me as
always
well.
smell somebody who's been eating cheese and onion crisps, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
If you've got sensitive nostrils, you go cheese and onion.
Yeah.
Barbecue, quite nice as well. Smoky bacon, chicken, barbecue.
So if you want to rewind, to the good times, salt and battery. Penny's off to have some salt and vinegar now. Norman's away to lick a battery. Thank you both very much indeed. Thank you very much for today. We've got another half an hour to go on the programme. Got the Defence Secretary after the weather update.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Now, for many, today is going to be drier than it was yesterday, but not everywhere. That's because there is a front across parts of the southwest. This is bringing more cloud here, even some outbreaks of rain, particularly across Devon and Cornwall, but some of that rain is likely to push into parts of Dorset, Somerset, maybe Wiltshire and the south of Wales as well. Elsewhere, and a few showers are quite likely across parts of southern Scotland, maybe northern, northeastern England and down the eastern side. Otherwise, though, it's looking largely dry, decent amount of sunshine, and with that sunshine, temperatures rising. It's going to be a bit warmer than yesterday, highs of around 26, 27, possibly 28 Celsius. Then as we go through into this evening, still a few showers dotted around across some central southern parts of Scotland, but a fine end to the day across many northern parts and towards Aberdeenshire as well in the east. Also largely fine across Northern Ireland, a decent amount of sunshine here, and for many parts of Northern England, central eastern England and North Wales, just one or two showers perhaps. But still in the southwest it is going to be quite cloudy and there's more rain to come. None of it especially heavy for the time being, but as we go overnight, more wet weather feeds its way into western areas, so across parts of Wales and across Northern Ireland, and it's here where we're likely to see some relatively intense rain, could even start to turn a bit thundery. Similar to last night, it's not going to be especially chilly. Temperatures for many holding up in double figures, some places only falling to around 17 or 18 Celsius, so pretty warm indeed. And then as we go through tomorrow, quite wet across some western parts. Like I said, it's across Northern Ireland where we're going to have the heaviest, most intense rain, potential for some high rainfall totals and some thundery downpours. Some of that wet weather pushing into parts of Scotland and down the western side of England and Wales as well. Staying drier though towards the east, and temperatures, if anything, a little bit higher than today.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. There's a significant roadworks closure on the M48 eastbound Severn Bridge with diversions. On the A1 in Nottinghamshire, a road collision has closed all northbound lanes, expected to clear between 11:15 and 11:30. In Greater London, congestion on the M25 anti-clockwise between junction 30 and 29 is causing delays. The M27 westbound in Hampshire is congested between junction 8 and 5, adding 20 minutes. And on the trains, Chiltern Railway services face disruptions between London Marylebone and Amersham, while cross-country services are disrupted between Reading and Basingstoke. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash. So make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. The biggest data leak in Britain's history.
The lives of up to 100,000 Afghans put at risk. It's an unprecedented super injunction come into force to stop all reporting on this subject. Now it's been lifted.
At a cost of £850 million and almost 7,000 more asylum seekers, is this the most expensive mistake in British history?
Serious data incident should never have happened. It may have occurred 3 years ago under the previous government, but to all those whose information was compromised, I offer a sincere apology today on behalf of the British government.
On behalf of the Conservatives, this is what the Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride had to say.
When this data was leaked, which was a terrible error on the part of the Ministry of Defence and should never ever happen again. It's extraordinary it happened in the first place, but it did place at risk tens of thousands of Afghans who had, in many cases, bravely assisted us.
So thousands of Afghans put in danger, a huge cost to the British taxpayer and an unprecedented and almighty cover-up, yet we don't even know if anybody has lost their job over this.
Breaking news, inflation rose by 0.2% in June as the pressure mounts on the Chancellor.
Rachel Reeves talked tough at her Mansion House speech last night, but will the markets play ball?
Regulators in other sectors must take up the call that I make this evening, not to bend to the temptation of excessive caution, but to boldly regulate for growth.
A schoolgirl who made headlines after teachers forced her out of a classroom for wearing a Union Jack dress. She spoke out on GB News yesterday.
Me not being allowed to read my speech, it's really upset me and it's embarrassed me as well because I prepared it and I really wanted to share it to my school.
A knitted map, yes, a knitted map of the island of Ireland has gone viral on the internet after a group of grandmothers spent 4 years making this one. We meet the women behind the project 9:15.
It's a drier and warmer day for many, but not everywhere. That's because there is some rain pushing into parts of the southwest. I'll have the details coming up.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Wednesday morning. However you're watching, however you're listening, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Nana Okwe. It's just gone 9 o'clock. This is GB News Breakfast.
just want to reflect some of the your says that coming into us, and this is about the two men who cut down the sycamore gap tree in Northumberland. Jim says only a moron would film cutting down a tree for social media likes. Paul says 4 years plus for cutting down a tree. Yes, it was a stupid thing to do, but we've all been guilty of that. Fine them heavily, yes. Make them do litter picking up or maintaining the said area for amount of years. But prison, really? OK, we could debate that one. Caroline is saying, you got her?
They deserve to go to prison. Really, they did.
4 years for chopping down a tree. Yes, it was a despicable thing to do, but that is a joke. I'd make them do hard labour in a forestry for a year and some other such punishment.
I'd still put them in prison. I'd give them that and that, to be honest. And they were bragging about it on social media. They actually thought that they'd done something that was funny. Frank Braidford says, nice to see Penny Smith on TV. Haven't seen her for years. It was lovely to see her on. We talked about your favourite crisps as well. Adrian says, my favourite crisps are tomato ketchup, but I actually detest the real thing. Interesting there. And lots of others getting in touch on lots of other subjects. Manchester Girl talked about homelessness, and keep them coming. gbnews.com/your say. Adrian says Southern Water has announced that much of Hampshire and all of the Isle of Wight will face water prohibitions from 9 a.m. on Monday. We have killed of water here in Northumberland. The south need more reservoirs building, because we were talking about water. We actually spoke to Ed Davey about that earlier.
How nothing goes simply in this country. Everything costs and keeps costing. Everybody wants money. Thames Water is saying, hey, give us money, buy our company and deal with all the problems and then sell it back to us and then we can make money from it. No. They're making enough money from it already. We're about to talk about this £7 billion, up to £7 billion in this Afghan migrant crisis. And that's really serious and very, very sad as well, because this is potentially one of the biggest scandals of recent history. And the government has been running a secret evacuation and resettlement scheme for thousands of Afghan people.
But look, it's a blunder, isn't it? An email blunder by a civil servant who's probably worked the job for many years, or maybe she was a new person there, and then a cover-up as to the blunder, because the list of names that were in some sort of spreadsheet was then sent to other people to try and help, but however, it then ended up potentially in the wrong hands. And it just seems to me that the civil service is really quite... they don't seem to be very good at their jobs. You've got issues with the Home Office, even processing migrant claims. At one point, they were processing 9 people a week. You've got HMRC, who don't know how much billionaires contribute to the economy. It's all run by civil servants. So I'm getting a gist that actually we need to be looking at the efficiency and quality of who we're employing in these roles.
Let's get perspective on all of this now from... we're not going to go to you. I'm just going to wait. We've got the Defence Secretary, who's appropriately enough just standing by on this, and John Healy, an appropriate day to talk to you, a busy day to talk to you. And we were just in studio here talking about the Afghan migrant situation. John, let me ask you, what happens next? Where are we at with this? What is the state of play? There may have been up to 100,000 people named on this list. So what happens to them now?
Well, good morning. There were indeed nearly 19,000 individuals sort of named on this data set. In some cases, there were some family members identified. Many of these people have no connection with Britain. They're not eligible for the special schemes that Britain put in place to recognise the duty we owe to those who served or worked with our armed forces. But nevertheless, this is a huge data breach that had never been disclosed. It led to the previous government setting up a secret resettlement scheme, bringing Afghans into this country, and covered all by a totally unprecedented super injunction that meant that the public couldn't know about this, the press couldn't report about it, and Parliament couldn't scrutinise this. All that changed. It changed yesterday because of the announcement I was able to make of the government's change of policy in Parliament yesterday.
John, I'm just detecting from your tone, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but that you're dismissive or that you're disapproving of that secret resettlement scheme being hidden the way it was. And the only thing I'm going to say to you is, I immediately look and I think these are people who helped our country during the Afghan crisis. Surely everything should be done for them. But am I right in gauging your thinking, not the way we reported on this, we shouldn't have hidden this the way we did? Tell me more.
Where people have helped our forces, worked alongside our forces, put their own lives in some cases as Afghans on the line, they are eligible for a different scheme, the Arab scheme, that has had all party support and is an important way that our country discharges that duty to them. The names on this list are not eligible for that, and the important step that I've been able to take off the back of an independent review that I commissioned is a fresh look at the situation in Afghanistan now, nearly 4 years on from the Taliban takeover, which identifies and concludes it's highly unlikely that simply being a name on this data set increases the risk of being targeted in Afghanistan. And it's on that basis that I published the report. I've ended this special secret scheme. I've disclosed this data breach, and importantly allowed the judge to respond to my application to have the super injunction lifted. So the British people deserve answers, and from today they can start to get them.
But look, John, this is what I think, and I hear you. I think they're slightly over-egging this, because I suspect if you actually live in this region of Afghanistan, the Taliban would know who is actually helping the British people. It wouldn't be a complete, oh, shock horror, that person is there. So, and again, the names on the list may not be that concerning if you are on that list. But my problem is this: why do we need to take away the super injunction? Why do we need to know about this when this could continue to be done quietly? Because there could be a risk to the people who are on the list. I know you said that the potential isn't. Why does the British public need to know any more about this? Why can't they just keep it quiet to make sure that there's no potential for the Taliban to maybe look at this and go, hold on a minute, who was on that list again? That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Well, first of all, you're totally right, and this Rimmer report confirms what you've just said, that the Taliban, they took over the previous Afghan government. They had all the data and much more than that's on this spreadsheet about those individuals that worked in government previously or worked to support foreign forces. So they've got all that data, which means the additional value, if they have or get hold of this data set, it means it's highly unlikely to change the risk that any of those individuals face. On the question of the super injunction, I don't know about you, but I find it deeply uncomfortable, and I'm deeply concerned that we have, after all, our British system works on freedom of the media. It works on Parliament being able to challenge and scrutinise the decisions of ministers like me for what we do in people's names. And in particular, it requires us to be able to report to Parliament about the policies we put in place, the taxpayers' money that we spent, and that hasn't been possible with the super injunction. But that is possible now, and I expect the ministers in the previous government that took these decisions about the injunction, and in particular to set up and run this special relocation scheme, I expect them to be held to account, just like I'm being held to account and expect to be held further to account for the decisions I've taken.
I understand that, but John, I'm just going to say the one difference is that we're talking about people's lives. We're talking about people at the mercy of the Taliban, living with the Taliban in a new regime, and they are an organisation that will be looking for revenge there. So I get what you're saying, but surely the sanctity of someone's life ranks higher.
Well, you're absolutely right that lives may be at stake. The Rimmer report said there's little evidence that there is a retribution campaign by the Taliban. They're more concerned with those individuals who pose a risk to the regime itself now, not those who might have worked 4 years ago and beyond with the previous government. This is a decision that has weighed heavily on me, to be quite honest. I've thought long and hard about the lives and safety of people who I'll never meet in a land far off, a land in which 457 of our British men and women were sacrificed during 20 years of operations in Afghanistan. So it's a decision that no government will take lightly. We've weighed it heavily, but we've come to the judgment that the decisions we take now mean that 9,500 fewer Afghans will come to this country. The taxpayer will be saved £1.2 billion. And above all, there is now the transparency and possible scrutiny and accountability that couldn't have taken place while we had the super injunction in place.
All right, so what about the civil servant who leaked it then? Who sent this email off by accident? What will happen to them? Will that person be exposed? Will that person lose their job? Or, you're talking about transparency, so don't you need to, the person who made the mistake should be penalised, or are they in some high echelon in the civil service now?
Well, forgive me, I'm not going to give you a snap judgment on something that happened 3.5 years ago, which would have been a matter for decisions of ministers at that time, didn't have access to any of the papers. There should be and can be accountability right the way up the command chain in due course now, because Parliament can challenge it, the media can challenge it, the public can know about this in a way that wasn't possible before the decisions I took and reported to Parliament yesterday. But this is bigger. This, for me, has always been bigger than the mistaken actions of one individual. And for me, this has been a question of coming into government. I needed to take responsibility for sorting this out. It's indefensible that in this country we continued to have a massive data breach that remained undisclosed to the public, that we had a secret relocation scheme in operation, bringing Afghans into this country. And above all, we had a court imposing a super injunction against anyone knowing or disclosing anything about this.
So, John, of the 100,000 or so people named, how many will be admitted, do you reckon, to this country?
No more than a maximum of 7,000. 900 of the individuals with their immediate family members are already in Britain or in transit. And because the country has issued another 600 invitations to people on that data set already, we will honour those. But I've closed the scheme now. There will be no more. And there will be a total of around 6,900. And there are a lot of figures flying around on this. This particular secret scheme has so far cost or committed £400 million. It will probably cost a further same again in total. But the important thing is overall, because of this fresh assessment we've taken of the risk, because of the policy decisions I've taken and announced to Parliament, overall we'll see almost 10,000 fewer Afghans come into this country in the next few years. We'll see the bill to the taxpayer cut by at least £1.2 billion. And we'll see the start of the accountability and scrutiny that the public and Parliament and the media have been unable to have up to this point.
All right,
okay,
John.
Defence Secretary, we'll leave it there. And thank you very much indeed for taking the time out on this very busy day for you to speak to us. Thank you very much indeed.
All right, well, still to come, we meet with the ladies who dedicated 4 years to knitting a map of Ireland. That's next on GB News Breakfast.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
Poll, it doesn't surprise either Bev or I, shows that most Brits believe that Britain is in decline. 76% of us, though, did surprise me, fear political unrest and even violence.
And those fears come amid violent riots, of course, in Ballymena in Northern Ireland. They've left dozens of police officers injured, and the area largely destroyed in some cases, particularly the local leisure centre.
Let's talk to our Northern Ireland reporter, Doogie Beattie. Doogie, this report comes on the back of sustained riots over, 6 days in the province?
They are putting undocumented immigrants into areas of high deprivation. There is a group here called Mears. 85% of their properties are in socially deprived areas, and those areas are now kicking back because in amongst those areas you have pensioners and so forth that have bought their houses back in the 80s. I spoke to a couple of them that were having to be moved out by their grandchildren.
Well, we know that people are not happy with. I think first thing to say is that people are worried about their living standards. They think they've declined, and actually strikingly, in a different part of the survey we found that 4 in 10 people feel like they were worse off since the COVID pandemic. That was actually particularly pronounced amongst reform voters, but overall people are very pessimistic about their personal finances and their cost of living. So I think that's a huge driver. We also know that people aren't happy with the government's handling of immigration, and actually going back to that question about what's affecting people's living standards, which I think is a much better way of getting at how people are feeling about things like the economy. People perceive, including Labour voters, including a sizable chunk of Labour voters, that immigration has had a negative impact on their living standards. And I do think we're starting to see that filter through into pessimism about the country as a whole.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Competition, it's a biggie. You know the score. It's 5-4, 3-2-1, 54,321 quid. You could be in with a win.
This is your chance to enjoy luxury this summer. It's our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. What would you do with that? With all of that cash, you could just chill out, treat yourself and indulge in the finer things in life, somewhere like here, Downhall Hotel and Spa. You really could win the cash giveaway of the summer. Go on, treat yourself.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, here's an amazing story, and maybe you could help out because you could give what we're looking for. We're going to talk about a home. A group of women from County Wicklow in the Republic of Ireland, they've created a map of Ireland, but it's made from?
It's made from wool. Yes, they started this project in 2019, but they were forced to pause during the pandemic before getting back on track into 2020.
Well, now they want to find a forever home for... Where would you put that? Look at that. Look at the detail on that there. And we're going to say hello, good morning and welcome to members of the Carnew community care knitting group, and they are Mary, Liz, Betty, Molly, Anne, Teresa, and another Betty. So, hello, good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Who's going to speak to me? Who's the spokesperson?
I will. Liz Butler. How are you, Eamonn?
Who's that? Sorry, I can't hear.
Liz Butler.
Liz. Okay, Liz Butler.
Yeah.
Liz Butler, tell me this. What sort of home are you looking for? Where would you like the map to be? And does it hang or is it spread out on a table, or what way do you see it?
No, it's on a surface. It's on a table. We would envision it, well, I suppose, where it would get...
Lovely. What bit did you create, Liz? What's your contribution?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I can't hear you, love.
Which bit did you do, Liz? Did you do the main knitting or the buildings?
I think we all, there's a group of actually 18 ladies in total, and we all contributed with all abilities at the table. Everyone was welcome, from the smallest knitted square to more complex pieces, and we found it was better not to pick things out, and we all complimented each other.
Lovely. And does somebody bid for this? Are you looking for a charity donation? How do you actually get the new home for the map?
We have the Wicklow Board of Tourism on board now with us, and they're actively pursuing some places in Ireland that may house it. It is quite a big piece. It's like 16 feet by 12 feet.
Oh. Yeah.
So it is quite imposing piece of, we like to think of it as art.
We loved you for doing it. Time is beating us this morning. We've got to say goodbye. After saying hello to you all, we've got to say goodbye. And I can't wait to see what my house looks like in Belfast. I'm going to have a good look at that close-up. Have a good day, ladies. Thank you very much indeed.
I guess you'd hoover it to clean it, wouldn't you? How would you keep it clean?
Hello, Beverly and Ben.
Good morning. Good morning. Aren't they wonderful?
Yes.
Aren't they brilliant? Right, what have we got on the show today, Ben? We're going to be reflecting on this cover-up. You feel very strongly, don't you?
Yeah, it's a scandal. It's a betrayal, regardless of the figures. 7 billion, 850 million, whatever the figure is, they tried to cover it up. It's a national disgrace.
Weather.
Here's your weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers. Sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Now, for many, today is going to be drier than it was yesterday, but not everywhere. That's because there is a front across parts of the southwest. This is bringing more cloud here, even some outbreaks of rain, particularly across Devon and Cornwall, but some of that rain is likely to push into parts of Dorset, Somerset, maybe Wiltshire and the south of Wales as well. Elsewhere, and a few showers are quite likely across parts of southern Scotland, maybe northern, northeastern England and down the eastern side. Otherwise, though, it's looking largely dry, decent amount of sunshine, and with that sunshine, temperatures rising. It's going to be a bit warmer than yesterday, highs of around 26, 27, possibly 28 Celsius. Then, as we go through into this evening, still a few showers dotted around across some central southern parts of Scotland, but a fine end to the day across many northern parts and towards Aberdeenshire as well in the east. Also largely fine across Northern Ireland, a decent amount of sunshine here, and for many parts of northern England, central eastern England and North Wales, just one or two showers perhaps. But still in the southwest it is going to be quite cloudy and there's more rain to come. None of it especially heavy for the time being, but as we go overnight, more wet weather feeds its way into western areas, so across parts of Wales and across Northern Ireland, and it's here where we're likely to see some relatively intense rain, could even start to turn a bit thundery. Similar to last night, it's not going to be especially chilly. Temperatures for many holding up in double figures, some places only falling to around 17 or 18 Celsius, so pretty warm indeed. And then as we go through tomorrow, quite wet across some western parts. Like I said, it's across Northern Ireland where we're going to have the heaviest, most intense rain, potential for some high rainfall totals and some thundery downpours. Some of that wet weather pushing into parts of Scotland and down the western side of England and Wales as well. Staying drier though towards the east, and temperatures, if anything, a little bit higher than today.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Roadworks have closed the M48 eastbound Severn Bridge with diversions in place. In Rotherham, a broken down vehicle disrupts the northbound M1 exit slip at junction 33. Serious collision in Nottinghamshire shuts A1 northbound.